toward them in the real world. If you merely live within the dreams of other people, it's no different from being dead.
It's only natural that you feel afraid right now.
We all possess something inside us that we cannot compromise. It's that inner passion that gives us the strength and courage to fight.
You have no right to tell me what I'm allowed to do or not do, or what knowledge I can or cannot learn.
Don't you know you gotta enjoy life, or it'll slip away?
The world needs all kinds of people. You should do what you wanna do.
Only one small part within a much greater flow. Nothing more than a fraction of the whole. But by putting all those ones together, you get one great all. That's why I won't ever give up.
We are getting stronger with every step we take.
All right, people. Shit, my voice. And we live for Saturday Suit Up. I want to do this for a long time. Got to get back to the Saturday morning hype.
Good morning.
Yeah. Like I said, this is supposed to be the adult version of back in the day when we used to wake up Saturday morning, enjoy our cartoons without cereal, not grown folks doing grown folk things Saturday morning, but remembering why we're here in the first place, why we're nerds, why we're so passionate, and we bitching about currently what's happening in the world and how our escapism, our stuff is affected. So I am the abomination known as AJ, and I am joined by two creators. The world needs creators. I don't know, we make the world go round. Like there's no world without us. I truly believe I'm a Christian, and so being made in God's image, he was a creator. So I think those of us who can do that, that's us exhibiting some of that power, and it can turn into some crazy stuff. So
yeah,
two creators right here. What's up, people? Aaron C., creator of Immortal Rising, and B.A. Turner, the creator of Vigilantes Creed. How y'all doing?
What up, and good morning. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Good.
No problem.
How you guys doing?
I'm good.
So far, so good. I'm actually, it's my Dungeons and Dragons game day today. So I'm kind of, it's been 2 weeks and I got to get back into it. Or if I don't nail today, I'm sure that my table will mutiny against me and probably skin me alive. So it's a lot of pressure today. I got to keep my head in the game.
Okay. They should.
Yeah. I also wanted to give a little shout out to Chrome Dog. I got the Arrow and the Presty cover. This came today, Arrow Comics. So check it out. It's a good time so far. I'm through like the first half and waiting for the show and all that. Good time. It's good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, I got mine too. Got to open it up still.
Okay, well, you can send it in the private chat, and I can throw that up and let people take a look at that. You got me?
Let's see if I can find it. I don't know.
Look, man, I'm lazy, okay? I don't do much work. I get you alone, but you got to shield the fuck out of whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I did the suggestion. It's kind of up to the people. Okay, I think it's on Fund My. I'm sure it's on Fund My Comic. Arrow
okay,
Comics.
all right.
Yep.
All right. So we are joined by in the chat. We got Dempsey. Saturday morning hype. What is up? He always hears Saturday morning. Been telling me get off my ass and get this shit going. I'm trying, bro. I'm making it happen. BA, you came through CLS Studio. Not gay, but hey, yeah, none of that going on over here.
But hey.
Yeah, as far as I know. John A. Douglas, good to see you. AJ, no homo.
Oh, dude.
Good to see you, John. No, that's perfect. We on the same wavelength. John is the reason that I know you guys. BA.
Oh, probably.
I don't know where. I think I met BA before then. Yeah,
I was also on Ego show before.
I saw you on John. I remember seeing you on John, and then Ego got you on the show. I was like, that's what's up. He interviewing. But yeah, I think I found BA kind of way before that. Because I didn't even know he had made a book at that time.
Yeah, I think I stumbled across your channel before I stumbled across John. So yeah, it was a while ago.
And I didn't even know he was a creator. So all of this happened. I'm like, oh shit, let me get those. Let me see what that's about. So yes, I definitely appreciate John. He's somebody that I look up to in this space and spreads knowledge of other independent creators. Aaron, see, we were just talking about that. Most people don't understand that there were indie comics before it was a well-known thing. Like there's a bunch of dudes out here besides just YouTubers who's made
Yeah,
books.
yeah, like we were saying, or it's you got the YouTube and Twitter space and all that. But like you go to your local convention, there are probably 6 books, 6 different teams of creators who have no idea what's going on YouTube or Twitter, or who any of the people that you guys watch or that we watch or that I have on my show. They don't know any of that stuff that even exists. So the indie comic scene in general it's a very large one. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There are many books out there at different levels.
Mike has bad knees. Actually, early I'm thrown off. Well,
That's a bit of a backstory.
Yeah, 2 different times. So we actually met in the middle. TMC, yes, BA was on Canola's channel too. I really didn't see that. I saw part of
Yeah, that was a waste of time. We won't go there.
I didn't see it.
I will stand on
It was
that.
a live dog pile. So instead of being dog piled on Twitter, I got cornered on a YouTube stream because I like a certain director.
BA, it wasn't because of that, and we're not gonna go all the way over there.
Uh-oh.
It was the backlash, and I understand. I've been in that position where they dog piling. It's like if you,
when you stand up for yourself, usually people don't like it. So
it depends on how you do it, though. It's how you do it. It's how you do it. And I think, yeah, that kind of moves into something that we might talk about later about our reactions to things, how people can perceive us through those moments, and how that could reflect in our ability to sell or something. But you guys have sold y'all shit and got it out there before. I think these things, controversies, or these little moments really just
just because somebody hadn't heard of me doesn't mean I'm a failure. Like that's not how that works.
Okay. So besides all of that, okay, who are y'all and what did you watch? What did you grow up with that got you into wanting to create or be like, this shit is dope? I have potential over here. Whichever one of y'all want to start.
BA, would you like?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for me, it started with the Smallville TV series. I grew up on a farm as a kid. We didn't even have cable TV or any comic book shops anywhere near us, so I didn't get exposed to comics. My life was sports until I got in a pretty bad accident and was kind of bedridden for 6 months, and my brother got me the first couple seasons of Smallville and just absolutely fell in love with all the characters and just how that story was written. And from there it just kind of snowballed into the DCEU and all the movies that were coming out when I was in college, and fell in love with Zack Snyder's work in regards to films, Nolan, of course, and then on the literary side, fell in love with Marv Wolfman's work, so Deathstroke, Teen Titans, his novel adaptations, and then Ayn Rand on the heavy on the novel side. So kind of a combination of all of that is what inspired me to create my own work.
Okay, something came to mind. Do you think because you said Smallville, that's live action. I have a terrible taste in my mouth from live action stuff. I prefer cartoons, animation. I feel like it knows no bounds. Do you think that is what because of the live action stuff, and you said those things more than like I said, the others, cartoons, comics, video games, or something like that, where it's a different medium. Do you think that affected you creating a novel as opposed to a comic book or something with graphics?
No, for me it was I never planned on really writing a novel or comics. I did it as an emotional outlet just due to a really bad period in my life. I just had an idea for a story for years, but never planned on doing anything with it. And one night I just started writing and just fell in love with writing prose. But once the story was complete and, I wanted to get some killer cover art, getting connected with, my artist Corey and then his brother and Joe Ball, all these other amazing artists, I was like, I need to see more of my characters come to life. And after every piece of art, like it was like an addiction. Like I need to see more. I need to see more. And
It
then I was
is.
like, I'm gonna do a mini comic. Like I'm gonna do something different. Introduce all the characters. Make this a unique and immersive reading experience. And then I was like, I got to do full comic issues. Now that I've been picking up all these guys, comics, especially in the indie scene. I'm like, I want to be able to provide something for both mediums, just like Marv Wolfman does. And there's not a lot of people that dip their toes into both mediums. So, um, you know, now I'm to that point where, I can do the visual side of things. But yeah, definitely films and TV series are what inspired me from a visual perspective, but also just a storytelling perspective, wanting it to be a very high-paced, action-filled story versus some prose, which is very slow, very daunting. And I mean, you can see in Corey's artwork the way I had him do the color tones, like it matches Snyder's work. Like I wanted that dark, kind of gloomy, back kind of color tones and stuff like that. So I pulled inspiration from all those things.
Mm-hmm. All right. You done with your answer, or Aaron C, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I guess for me it was I got into comics in right when I guess in early 90s, like right around Image being formed kind of stuff. Like Jim Lee was doing X-Men, you had Rob Liefeld doing X-Force, like right at the height of all that stuff. I was lucky enough to have a comic book shop 2 blocks from my junior high school or something. So like, we'd all walk down there. When I got away from the bad kids, I'd go to the nerdy spot and hang out and look at comics and whatever, and pick up. I think I had like all those. They had like the 6 different covers for X-Men #1. I'm sure I had them all, that kind of stuff. And then that was also around the time that I was getting into fantasy stuff. So I'm reading Dragonlance, I'm reading Dark Sun and Forgotten Realms and all that stuff. And I don't know, there for a long time, I kind of got away from a lot of those things, even though I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. For instance, I stopped buying comics off the rack. I would just read them from friends, or graphic novel collections. I'd get those. But I guess what got me into making my own was really, we got to the point in our table, our game, that, we had all this history. And I'm like, I need to start writing this down. We haven't been keeping notes, and just for table continuity, so things don't get away and like I'm rehashing old stuff or rewriting old stuff. So I'm like, let me just start keeping track and let me write out the timeline. Well, as I'm writing out this timeline and I'm adding things and events and whatnot, those events like slowly became scenes with dialogue. And I'm not a stranger to writing. I've been a writer for a long time, nothing professional, a lot of amateur stuff. But like I've won, when I was in school, I've won it's like state awards or essay competitions. I've helped writers, or I helped somebody write lyrics for a CD that they produced, like stuff like that. So I've done writing in different ways, but I had never tried a comic. And I guess let me back up. As I'm writing out all this stuff, I'm like, there's definitely a story that is asking to be told, right? It's like, I can't get out of writing this. I'm either going to write this, as a book or something, right? And it's slowly coming out of me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do a novel. One, it's like, yeah, I could practice prose and get good at that. And that's definitely a skill that people should be practicing. But for me, I guess it's more of like, I also wanted to incorporate the fantasy art, right? Like the art was what really got me into fantasy to begin with. You're opening up the player's handbook, or anything from Dungeons and Dragons, any of the campaign setting stuff, and it's just the art grabbed me immediately. And I'm like, that's what I want to bring to this, because originally this was going to just be a project that I was going to do for myself and maybe some friends that knew about it, and it didn't have all this behind it. But like BA said, once I started getting like concept design art and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I want to share this with as many people as I can. So, and you know, it slowly built from there. Like I was telling you backstage, I had issue 1 done by an Indonesian artist, amateur Indonesian artist to begin with. You know, that was the one that was going to just be for basically me and my friends and family and stuff like that. But you know, after I met Jose Garcia and, you know, saw his expert his expert lines and colors and everything, I'm like, I can take this much higher than just friends and family, you know. So let me take this as far as I can. And so I got into it, you know. I had an editor, somebody helped me, you know, work on the story. Just it's been in the works for years now. Like, I mean, from the very first beginning of the concept, it's been like 5 years, you know. The first comic, the first version of issue 1 was like 3 or 4 years, probably 3 years ago now. So yeah, this has been a slow process, you know, a slow passion process. And not only am I going to do comics, but I'm going to branch out into tabletop stuff as well. Like I want to do a source book with, like, you know, classes and jobs unique to my setting, but that can be used in, you know, 5th edition or, you know, basic kind of campaign settings and stuff, just that people can plug and play from my books. And not only that, but the fans can get like a full breakdown of, you know, major events or characters and backstory to the world that, you know, there's a lot of backstory in this, but because it's introducing you to the world, the source book will have, you know, fleshed out backstory, much more fleshed out anyways.
Okay.
So it's not just going to be comics, you know. Like I know BA's got the novel stuff going on. I don't expect to do novels, but I'm not against it. I'm having such a good time creating that I'm just going to run with whatever.
What does that look like? Because a novel, is that really a thing? Like you'll have a comic book and they'll turn it into a novel form? Like, is that to appeal to people who don't want the pictures? They just want, what is it, more words?
I don't know. Like I'm going through right now, I'm listening to Dragonlance Legends trilogy, and just, you know, listening to it, and you know, I don't know, like the prose versus the comics is you can get more into how a character is feeling, you know, in that situation. It adds to a lot. Like it's hard for me to describe, but like as you're writing out a scene, you know, in prose, you can add things that can't be grasped in the comic as easily, you know.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant by, I guess, more words. So I guess with the if you want to show, you can easily show an expression of somebody sweating or looking worried, but then you have to describe that in a novel. So yeah,
it's like, well, why do they feel that way?
Yeah. And I guess that's just to appeal to people who are more into that. I guess that works because myself, people like I want pictures in my book, so I'm going to gravitate more towards a comic or a graphic novel adaptation of a novel before I just
exactly. Well, and that, like I said, that's one of the things that got me wanting to do that. I mean, that is so fun having your characters drawn up for you and then putting them into, you know, situations, and it's really cool working with Jose also, you know, a professional artist is so fun.
So that picture that you just showed, when you clipped that video, when I was showing your book on the stream, that's actually what I saw in the back, and I was like, oh shit, because this is
right.
Like, it's like you see this and it's like, oh, okay, warriors, they have on armor, they fit the job, the class. But then when you see what you just saw, I was like, oh, that's a whole nother level. That armor, it has to be some type of otherworldly, celestial, higher being or something. So okay, I have that much to look forward to in the story. So the art.
Well, and it's so fun because with this story, you know, it's 2 stories in one, because you've got the first level guys, right? That's the guys on the cover, you know, the group, right? It's got the X-Men dynamic where each one's their own personality and they bicker sometimes, but the whole point is that they got to come together as a team and overcome adversity, right? And then on the other side is the other story of you know, these knights of the good god, Knights of Locutus, who are trying to like basically fight off evil. Like they're trying to defend their creator from being annihilated by one of his creations. So it's high stakes all around. And
Yes,
you get to see, like, you know, was it the Titans movie? I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, Clash of the Titans, where you've got the guy on the ground and you've got the gods on the mountain kind of points of view. So it's fun.
Yeah, I like that there was shown in your book. B, I haven't gotten to yours yet. I read Immortalized and it was a quick read. But I was invested because it was so much opening up that I was like, okay, I like where this is going. I like where this is going. When you say high stakes, I was like, oh shit, he really just did that. There's no somebody is bold enough to do that, then it's like, okay, there's no telling what else I'm going to get from this story. So
you never know who's going to live and die.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that, but that's also, and me writing my stories, it's like, man, I like this character. I do not want to see them go. So it's when to let characters go. That's something that I'm dealing with now. Let me address the money that was thrown up. I'm a polar boy from the South. Okay, I don't know what this currency is, but it's money. I see the numbers. I see that decimal. So
Brit, I think.
Sure, Brit.
That's it's a pound, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a pound though. Okay, sure. BA said it first.
I said, don't ask. I said, don't ask. No questions. Just give the money.
See, I messed up. I shouldn't ask no questions. Just appreciate the money.
That's right.
But all right, so that's what we talking about. That how y'all kind of got into it. Me, man, I've said this before. I've always been into the comic book characters, but I didn't start collecting until around 2011. Me being Poe, my folks would not buy me. We wouldn't go to a comic book shop, and I didn't see them anywhere else besides like a library or something that I picked up. So there was nothing that I actually collected. I just came by them, I read them, and I enjoyed them for the most part. It was mainly the cartoons that would come on frequently. I don't really give a shit about live action. So Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, I'm like, yeah, it was fine, but it still wasn't as free as what I'd seen in cartoons and comics. I just think live action doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
But there's been some damn good attempts that I'm like, okay, keep going in that direction, then we'll have something. I said all that to say I didn't start collecting until around 2011. And that's when I think things took a turn for the worse, or more like nosedive. It sounds like what y'all did was not a reaction to that, but more so y'all always wanted to create. And it just seemed like things lined up to where you could put something out there when people were craving it. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, to me, I never really paid attention to, I guess, the broader scale of the comic book market or even the film market at the time. You know, I didn't even have Twitter back then. For me, it was just, I just absolutely loved those films and those TV series, and the combination of that and, what was going on in my life was just like, hey, I want to just make something and make it at the same level of these other folks that inspired me, try to make something, in the same vein as them. And, after the fact, now that I've gotten more into the comic scene and all of that, and you've seen, how bad, films have gotten in the broader scale, then it's just like, well, I'm glad I made something, and, hopefully this will help people gravitate towards the indie scene, because it's definitely the marketplace for free and unbound creativity. So,
yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't even know a lot of that stuff was going on. Like, I didn't have Twitter either. But and you would see, like, on YouTube, people complaining about culture and pop culture and all that stuff. And but then when I did get on Twitter after I'd started this, this brand and all that, and that was after Jose told me to get on. He's like, Jose's like, go check out, Bancroft and Comicsgate and there's a whole indie comic scene out there, and get on Twitter, that kind of stuff. I was like, all right. So I was listening to his advice, and I started doing all these things. And then when I'm on Twitter, I started seeing little panels and pages from some of the new comics. I'm like, oh my god, I gotten away from comics a while ago, mainly because like they were too expensive for me. There's too much coming out, and it was cost me too much, right? I was a poor boy myself, so I kind of, and not only that, but a lot of the stories I didn't really enjoy. I don't know, I couldn't put my finger on it, and that was around the early 2000s is when I kind of dropped off of staying regular on it. Like I had friends, with long boxes and shit that had regular subscriptions, and they'd go pick them up on Wednesdays, kind of stuff. And I would read some that way, like Daredevil and whatnot. But some of those stories were quickly dropping off. They weren't, to me, they weren't as good as like Executioner's Song or some of the things that I saw in the 90s. So, and then life kind of got me away from it, like I was saying. But then when I saw like the current state of like the art and now the writing on top of that, it's just like, wow, how is this even a thing? Like, besides like the full wall of lecturing that people will get in a comic book now from like, I don't know, was it Eric Larson or something, or like everybody's talking about butt sex in the X-Men. It's like, I don't care, I don't care about any of that.
So, all right, you didn't care about any of that. Understandable. None of us did. So it wasn't necessarily a reaction. But I do think it was like perfect timing. Myself, I've always wanted to create. What got me into this nerd space or geekdom, it was Disney. Okay, so the cartoons, the comics, I enjoyed those. I definitely did, but I was more inspired by like a Walt Disney, somebody who, when you see a comic book universe like Marvel or DC, is so vast. But this guy did it with these characters that were pleasing to everyone. And, I think the heroes give like this sense of, especially to like little boys, like, I want to beat up bad guys. I want to be a good person. That's cool. But you saw something else that was just lighthearted and just like life lessons and teach people to just spread a little magic and whatnot. All of our creators have our own space. So I think that's definitely what got me into wanting to create visually and tell a story. Seeing how it could take something like a mouse or like the Lion King or Oliver and Company, like with these animals, and just make them just so believable and put all these emotions on them. And just, that's why I wanted to become a creator. So it was definitely before the decline of the mainstream and sources of entertainment. But as that stuff happened, it was more so of the things that were being pushed, like for instance, me being black and seeing how my skin color was being used as a shield for a lot of garbage, or seeing how these people could use the entertainment that was supposed to be just like, it's just something to watch, turn your brain off, and use it to actually like engineer it was like, some ways of
social engineering.
Yes, seeing how it was used for that. And I was like, oh shit, like me creating something is more important now than just putting out something cool. It's like, now I have to put out something good that fights the narratives of the others, of the mainstream, that like to keep people in a box and limit their thinking. So do y'all have, or did you have any of that thinking, like going into your projects? BA, you kind of, you said something about, hopefully this can help people out of their time where they're like really doing something. But is there any themes or anything specific that you might have saw back in the day from entertainment that you was like, I gotta put that in my book. I gotta make sure that what I felt during those moments, I give that to another generation or somebody else that's willing to consume my work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just going back to traditional storytelling, right? Not thinking about politics, not thinking about any narratives, just writing a story, just free and clear, basically, of all of that. And yeah, I mean, for me, I want it to be an inspiring story, but also put healthy doses of realism in it so that folks could actually relate to the characters, relate to the events happening in the story, because it is a modern story, but with traditional storytelling. So they would be able to see some of the events that are going on in the story and be like, man, that shit's happening in real life today. And I wanted to be able to kind of expose those things and be like, hey, this is why these things are bad. People need to wake up
Yeah.
to, like, media manipulation, media brainwashing, things like that. So I tied in things that are happening, in life today into the story, and then also made sure that the characters, basically anyone that read the story could relate to the characters, at least one of them, based on their life events in the story, their backstory, and make a villain and a kind of a setting that people would want to overcome, that they would truly despise that villain or what's going on in the story, and then hopefully apply that to real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and to back up kind of what BA's saying, it's like what you're not seeing in X-Men stories about butt sex is good versus evil. Like you're not seeing, I don't care if dudes, into dudes. It's the fact that you need to show what is good and in contrast, what is evil. You need to have those epic conversations, not like lecturing somebody of, oh, he hates trans or whatever. No, you need to talk about the philosophical arguments, like I'm sorry, you've got like Magneto arguing against Charles Xavier on societal philosophical questions, and then all the fighting in there is is candy on top of the philosophy. And like, for instance, you're talking about like the crappy parts of some of the live action versions. Was it Cowboy Bebop? I watched it. I was like, yeah, it's got some woke this or that. The black dude killed it. He was great. He's probably the best part of the whole show. But what was really missing, it didn't. I was like, man, I was talking to my friend. It's like, it has no soul. Some of it was good, but a lot of it just wasn't there. And I went back and I rewatched the cartoon just to compare. And his comment to me is because he said it was because they took out the philosophy. And I was like, that's exactly what it is. They had no philosophical questions, no philosophical quandaries, whatever you want to call it. There was no kind of talk there about any large metaphysical questions at all, and that I remember. And that's why it was just soulless. Like I don't even care that I saw it now. Whereas like the cartoon, the animation's great. And the characters are this and that, but it was the bigger questions that made it interesting, And then you add in like the jazzy blues, of course. But it's that these books today, they don't have a soul. There's no philosophical questioning or anything like, oh, it's colonizers are bad or whatever the narrative is that they're trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
Or men are all bad, or whatever combination of.
And women are only bad because of some bad man influenced her.
yeah. It's like, well, she had a bad dad, so that's why she's bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, and so I just asked y'all about the what I guess themes or some of those questions. What lessons do you want to put in your book? Because I mean, you can have lessons in there. Or you can have politics, like you can have those themes in a book and then not be the shit that's being put out now. That's you get what I'm saying? Like that's a whole nother level. That's like you need to think this certain way, as opposed to you need to make the best decision in these type of situations, the morally right decision.
Yeah. Well, like in my story, I kind of cut it up into 3 parts because it's a lot. But basically, I wanted it to be a coming of age story, and the truths that can be found when somebody's life is turned upside down and they have to rely on themselves, and things like you can't have liars when you're trying to survive. You can't have backstabbers around you when you're trying to survive. Like you can't have certain personalities and expect to survive. Truth is a real thing, and it's not as subjective as some people want to make you think it is. And these are the kinds of things that you can address just in a coming of age story set with a war backdrop. Like there's a lot of things, a lot of truth that can come out of that. So that's kind of what I want to explore. Not only that, but why is it that the bad empire? Why is it people will go along with bad empires? Like, how can they be are they programmed to ignore immorality? Are they just not taught what immorality is? Are they under a spell, right? Like, oh, he's just a real charismatic leader or whatever. These are the things that, I want to kind of slowly delve into as the story progresses, and not like on purpose. I think a lot of these themes will just be in the backdrop of who these characters are, right? Like, I think character is plot. Like, as a character changes, that is the plot moving. And so when we finally kind of center in on a bad guy and kind of look into his brain to see why is it, where is he coming from? Why is he willing to do this? Why is he willing to be a part of an invasion force against a primitive planet? What, and then not feel anything when he, does bad things. And I think those are more fun to kind of write about and explore than butt sex.
Yeah, that was a time when villains were actually villains, and it's rare to see somebody that, I mean, you hate to say it, but I hate when you see a villain and he's just like, I'm not gonna say nice, but he just tolerates so much bullshit. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
if I was to take you seriously, you would have shot this person a long time ago. They wouldn't have this many opportunities to disrespect you the way that they have, especially coming from a woman. Like, the things that a real villain, a man, would do to her is like, we need to explore these type of things for me to take this guy seriously, if that's what you're
Yeah.
trying to sell me on. So yeah, back in the day, you could have a clear villain. It's like, we hate this guy, take him out. People like this should not be tolerated. But now you see that get kind of blurred. That's like the themes. What is something, not necessarily visually, but what is something that you saw in these things that inspired y'all to create, that you felt like was missing and you wanted to make sure to put in your own work? For example, if anybody's a Dragon Ball Z fan, the fact that Super Saiyan 4 is not explored, and we're not saying what happens if the Saiyans actually control that ape. That's something that I missed out on Dragon Ball, and I'm like, okay, let me, or with my werewolves, what happens when you actually control that power, as opposed to it just being something that you hate and you try to keep away or at bay for as long as possible. Otherwise, you let it out, all hell breaks loose. So something that I want to fix or make sure that I touch on in my stories. What is something that y'all felt like was missing from the things you enjoyed?
I mean, for me, one of the things I tried to do, beyond just trying to make my characters relatable was, to not have a superhero or a vigilante that's invincible, right? I think too many stories, especially in Marvel when it comes to films, like, there's not enough stakes. Like, they're gonna bring this character back. They're gonna come back from from death, or they're always invincible. And I wanted to do something similar to what they've done with Superman in the past of, hey, they have a weakness. They're not, invincible. They can die. And, make the story have stakes to where you're actually worried that, hey, this hero is near his deathbed. Like, oh shit, what's actually going to happen? And you could possibly also take out that hero if needed. And, just also explore the morality of killing as well, because you always have the debate of the no kill rule that Batman has had and has also not had, depending on the comic run or the film. And so I kind of did a twist of that, in the sense of, like, my character's celestially bound to a grimoire, so he's tied to archangels. So obviously there's some, symbolism to Christianity and such in my story, and so he's unable to kill anything with a soul. And what makes him unique is he can detect whether or not a human still possesses a soul or any remnants of humanity. But the villain has a mind control serum that allows him to bend the minds of his subjects, and after so many serum treatments, they can actually lose their humanity, which means that rule can actually be taken off the table, to where that hero has to decide, like, oh, if I don't kill this super soldier who's basically a walking just zombie at this point, he's just going to keep murdering innocent people. So he has to make that decision of, do I try to imprison them? There's no way they can come back. They're too far gone. Or do I just take them off the table to make sure that no one else is hurt by them? So I wanted to explore that because personally, I've never liked the no-kill rule for Batman. And I think a lot of people can see, like, oh, because he hasn't killed Joker X amount of times in certain storylines, he just keeps going around torturing and killing people. So it's like, well, Batman, that's kind of on you to an extent. So I liked in certain films where Batman was willing to take out the worst of the worst, or Superman was willing to take out the worst of the worst to prevent, future or other civilians and innocents from dying. So I really wanted to explore that kind of side of things.
Yeah, well, that's the way Batman was in the past, wasn't it? Because I've seen people make the argument, it's like, well, that's just like newer stuff, but Batman has always shot and killed people. Like, I don't know if it's a real, if it's AI, but there's that panel of Batman holding he's like shooting a gun and he's like, basically kill all the commies or whatever. I'm like, holy crap, that's really 50s Batman, isn't it?
Yeah, there's at least 6 different runs where he actually did kill. And then obviously you had the Dark Knight series, which was much grittier, and then obviously Snyder's take, and even Nolan's take. He did kill in the Nolan verse. It just wasn't so like obvious.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the adaptations where it's just like it's so blatantly obvious that he's not willing to kill, and then like as a result of it, more people get hurt, and it's like, a real
I think
hero
it makes
would
more
make
sense
sure
that
they do what they
Superman
need to do.
can kill, like Batman's supposed to be like the shadow guy, and then Batman or Superman's supposed to be like the sun, right? And they're not shadow guys. So like, let's just keep those guys a little more separated. It would be kind of cool. Like, what's wrong with Batman stringing a dude up and letting him, fucking die from blood going to his head? Or I don't know. It's just something. I don't see why he would care.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a Batman. If you got to take out like 12 henchmen, look, some of them can die. You can't keep track. It
Like
is what
the
it is.
brain trauma alone on some of his punches, like, ugh.
Like you see I guess the Spider-Man games, which I guess they kind of fix it, because if you try to throw somebody off the building and somehow a web comes out and they get webbed to the building. But it's like, look, I've webbed yanked so many dudes off a building and just not gave a fuck about what happened. Nobody told you to do crime, bro. This
That's
is
true.
what you got to deal with. Okay, so that's the that was BA. Aaron C. What you got? What is something that you felt like was missing from fantasy that you had to put in yours?
I guess missing from fantasy. I don't know. I mean, fantasy is everything anyways, So like I don't know, like this medieval kind of fantasy stuff. I guess what I haven't really seen is a good combination of like dark fantasy and epic fantasy together. I consider this setting to be very Castlevania, and Final Fantasy had a baby. That's what I haven't really seen done very well. So that's kind of why I wanted to, put this setting out there as another option for people, especially the more that this builds up and I get more footing and people are familiar with my name or whatever. They'll want things like the source book, and hopefully they'll take those things and use them in their own games. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, for instance, like certain aesthetics or storylines, I'm not sure, because there's so many fantasy novels, for instance, that I haven't read and probably won't, that most likely already cover tropes that I'm touching on now. So I can't really say that. I know that like we've said, the big two, they're not really talking about any real anything with substance anyway. So anything I make would be a great side to what they're making. All I got to do is tell a basic, coming of age in a war story, and that's like groundbreaking compared to what they're putting out.
All right, so I guess with the y'all's worlds, y'all both chose something fantasy. I would ask what kind of drew you to that fantasy, as opposed to something like I guess maybe like a John Wick or something. I don't know. But like BA, your book, it deals with the supernatural, but in a modern world. that is with my story. I was talking to Aaron C. There is like a million fantasy books out there, high fantasy, and I'm not that guy. Like I can entertain it for a while, but it kind of gets like more of the same to me. So I was like, I want to see fantasy, but now, like current day, what does that look like? And BA, you did that. So what was your decision making, or what made you go that route with your story? You kind of hinted on some of it, but
Yep.
the real creative process, and I guess we can start going into some of that. How did you even, you had your thought, what made you want to go that route, and then how did you make your book? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wanted the story to be grounded and as realistic as possible, which, when you're doing fantasy, that can be kind of hard to do, right? It is escapism, but I wanted to have a balance. So, obviously you have supernatural creature like a gargoyle, and then I tied it into, religious aspects, celestial beings, you know, there's a lot of symbolism behind that, and, that's
Which those
where.
are supernatural.
Yep, and then that's where a lot of the morality things are covered. And, the home base for the team of vigilantes is the cathedral, things like that.
Yeah. The fact that your guy can see souls or not,
Right. Yep. So that's where a lot of the escapism is. But for the villain is a dude. He's just an evil ass dude. And, I wanted to, this is where I use the realism, right? This is, like a wealthy individual using the media, using the police, using every outlet possible to manipulate civilians and, you know, just to get wealth and power, which is happening every day around us, right? With
Yeah.
wealthy individuals and, these
They
crony
say
capitalists
political
and
power
stuff.
is more addicting than cocaine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, I wanted to have, a supernatural being fighting a human just piece of shit, essentially, an you know, a villain that's not redeemable, that's pure evil, like Darkseid, but at a human level. So there's a good balance of the escapism, the supernatural, and then the human element, and just,
Yeah.
modern day evil. And so that's where it's urban fantasy because it's balanced, it's street level. And so you get the escapism you need, but you also get that ground level kind of realism. And I like to just have a kind of a healthy balance between the two.
All right.
Oh, I
Aaron,
just
we
want to
got
say
you.
in your comments, people asking about werewolves. Are there any werewolves? In my third book, there should be a werewolf. So yes, because on the world that everybody gets transported to, it is a world that has been ruled by vampires and werewolves. So by the third one, yes, we see a pretty badass werewolf fight. So it should be fun.
Nice.
All right. Look, man, that's exciting. I was going to ask you at some point, but yes, I read the first book and they talk about that place having the werewolves and the zombies and whatnot. And I just felt like, you know what? He just threw that out there. There's werewolves, but I probably won't ever see them. Let me not get my hopes up.
No,
But
they'll be there.
since
Yeah,
we
and
said
actually
that,
after the first arc is the 3 books. Then the second arc will have vampires. Vampires will be heavily into it because like the first arc is really to introduce the whole setting, right? Like what is this? What's going on? And then in the second one we get to really kind of explore the things that I mentioned in the first 3. So yeah, like vampires, werewolves, you'll see more godly stuff, and hopefully dragons in the second arc as well. So see a dragon or two.
okay, do you want to spoil me on what the werewolves will do? Are they sentient? Are they like those lichen things from
No,
Underworld when they was just like hive mind, just
no,
dogs?
no.
What
So werewolves in this world, there are different kinds. Like there's not like a lot. There's you have like a person who was cursed to be that way, either voluntarily or involuntarily, and then you
okay.
have one that is a demon, right? So it's either a demon who manifests as a werewolf, or someone who's granted demon status and then can become a werewolf. So there's different things to it, but the ones that we see, and yeah, so they are sentient, and a lot of times they're used as like guardians or enforcers, that kind of stuff.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm excited to see what that looks like. Are
It's
there
pretty
any
hot.
crossover? Okay. So kind of your creative process, and how did you make the book?
I mean, for me, like I said, I had, the basic story idea in my head. You know, I'd gotten an actual chess piece of a gargoyle in my early 20s, and that night, like I had a real vivid dream of just this gargoyle overlooking the city of Detroit, and I just used that as my basis. And then that one night, I was in a real dark place. I needed an outlet. I just started typing, and it honestly just kind of flowed. It grew from that character. Within like an hour, I had developed, the villain. I actually wrote the first chapter, and then I wrote the last chapter. I had the beginning and the end immediately, and then I just kind of filled in the middle with developing all the other characters and the connective material. So, I mean, for me, I would just write a couple chapters, go back, edit, and then at the same time, I'd be reading books by Marv Wolfman, Ayn Rand, to just learn from the experts, learn how they did their story structure, their formatting, etc.
Yeah.
And then once I had the rough draft done, I worked with a writing coach to go through and fine tune things, re-edit, and then I hired a professional editor to go through and button everything up. So, for me, it was kind of all over the place because I had moved probably 8 times throughout the course of 5 years that I wrote this, 3 different countries, traveling to a bunch of different countries. So, work was kind of my life. And whenever I'd have an idea, I'd literally just like pull up a Word document at work and just type out a scene real quick or write it in a notebook. And then, once I could go home or to Starbucks after, then fine tune it, expand on it. And so it was just a lot of writing it in pieces and just putting it together in the end. So nothing really too structural or traditional. I just wrote and did my best to put it together in the end. So I didn't try to overthink it or anything. That's what I use the editor for.
I just wanted to say, they say some of the best art comes from, like dark times in a person's life and drugs. So I'm glad that it wasn't because of drugs. So it probably is better because of the dark time.
Yep.
It depends on what drugs we're talking.
And that's shown in the book because my, main character's arc is kind of following the things that my own arc in my life, right? Going from, the darkest moment and then, learning from your past, your experiences, and then seeing him grow over time and things progressively get better. He finds himself, so on and so forth. And so you can kind of see the arc in the story.
Yeah.
And so that was, really enjoyable to be able to do that. And then, I really wanted to inspire others and help them through their own dark times and, use my story and my characters to help people realize like, hey, it doesn't matter how bad things are, just got to keep your head up. You got to keep working and, have some goals and, you too can improve your life and, kind of be the hero of your own story, whether that's, through your kids or through family or whatnot, or your creations, just don't give up hope essentially. And that's kind of the crux of the story.
Yeah.
All right.
We
How you
need
get
that,
this?
especially in these times.
Mhm.
Everything's so dark and divided, and everybody's got a problem with this or that about this or that.
Yeah.
It's like, we need something that, as an example of hope, as an example of positive, as an example of there is something better than what is happening right now. And one of the things like you're talking about themes and whatever before, it's like in Immortal Rising is like, yeah, all this crap is going on, all this death and despair and terrible stuff. Everything is a surprise and everything is a fight for survival. But it's like, it's also the empowerment of the people that are in the story to overcome these odds that needs to be talked about and told, you know, like what is it about them together or as individuals that helps them get through and find the right meanings to overcome despair, to overcome the dark and the fighting and the division and stuff like that. Like we need those things right now more than ever that I can, you know, that I see. Just don't turn on the news, you know, like, and your life will be much better. But it's like, we do live in a crazy world, but you know, for me, it's like, you know, I keep my kids close, you know, we homeschool, we're getting chickens next year. We garden, you know, we spend time together as a family, having conversations and learning things together, experiencing things. Like it's me, my close friends and family that will overcome all of this craziness. It doesn't matter if the World Bank collapses and they enslave us all with digital currency, or the pedophiles are running the government, or whatever you want to say is going on. None of that will matter as long as what is directly around you is positive, and that will overcome.
Yep.
Sorry, I'll get off my box now.
No, I agree with that 100%. People think I'm crazy, but I'm like, it's not about skin color anymore. It's about like-minded individuals. So as long as we have people's best interest at heart and want to see the people around us make it. And then when the outsiders come and enslave us all, I'm headed to the forest with whoever, hide in trees, real Native American style.
It's not the first time that the you know, elites of the world have consolidated their power. You know, like if you just look at history, it's every couple, you know, every 100 years or whatever, they'll collapse what was going on, then they'll rebuild it, and then later that'll be collapsed and rebuilt. You know, it sucks, but that's where we are, you know.
And somebody goes down in history as the small group that fought back and put a dent in the operation.
That's true.
If they didn't overcome, they fucked them up enough to think again.
Gosh. And, you know, I know it's a little bit of a side, but it's like, I really think that America right now is like at a point where, you know, we as those of us who live here really need to consider the foundations that the country was found, you know, that started the country, like the whole mentality and just vigor, you know, the grit that it took to build in a place, you know, and the values behind that that made it so successful to begin with. You know, it's not over, guys. Just because these assholes, you know, hide behind guns doesn't mean that they're gonna win.
Yeah, I've said, man, if we got majority of our people offended by words and whatnot, and people not agreeing, then anybody come in and just have their way with our asses. And hey, we did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, as far as the books, BA, you telling me the creative process and how you wrote it and everything. How did you get this book made? Who do you got to throw some money at? Print the book out. You had the Indiegogo, so you presented it to people. Aaron C said, you know, some of y'all out there hustling at the conventions, passing the books out, selling it and whatnot. What did that look like for you? And then you, Aaron, and I don't know how much time you got because we had an hour now. So yeah, if you got to go somewhere, then you can take it first.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can you recap that question? I was reading the chat.
So I was saying, like, what is I understand y'all creatives process, but what is the actual business side? What money do you have to put out to get the book made? What avenues do you have to go to get it to the people, get it seen by the people?
All right. So what I did was first, when I first did the book, the one that I had done for like friends and family kind of stuff, I tried selling that on Kickstarter. You probably find it now if somebody went to go look for it. But it was terrible. You know, it was very amateurish. Everything, you know, the way that I put the site together was bad. I had zero. I didn't have a YouTube, didn't have a Twitter, none of that stuff. And I maybe got $300. You know, they're like, oh, well, and which I didn't cash out on because it on Kickstarter, it's you got to hit your goal or forget it. And anyways, so. I'm like, geez, what am I supposed to do? How do I get this out there? You know, and Jose Garcia, my artist, was like, well, there's actually a you know, an indie comic scene on YouTube. You can go on YouTube, check out Bancroft, you know, and check out Comicsgate. It's a whole group of people who are interested in indie comics that are not into the woke agenda pushing kind of stuff. It's like, cool, let me go check it out. Immediately, Bancroft became a big favorite of mine to watch. I got to see all these other indie creators, that books I never would have heard of, and that really helped a lot. Kind of listening to their stories and how they got started. But as far as like the like the numbers and whatnot, I had to save money. I wanted to have the book produced before I launched my campaign. So I put it aside, made payments to Jose. He slowly worked on it. And well, slowly for him is like done in a week. But, like I would give him when I had cash to continue to the next part of the process. That's what we did. And we slowly hashed it out until we got the product that we did. And then I had to think, well, how much when I go to do the campaign, how much is it that it'll take to do a certain amount of backers? Like I'm got to think, well, maybe I can get, like if I get 100 backers, to me that was a successful accomplishment. It's like, hey, I got 100 people, my first time out without being known. And that's what I budgeted it around. Is like, well, how much will it cost me to come up with 100 books? Or I think I had bundle packs with like double books kind of stuff, so you could have one and read one kind of thing. And so like, how much would it cost to make up that many books? And that's what I aimed at. Thankfully, got a little bit higher to where I could do stickers and magnets and actually ordered an overstock, that kind of stuff. But you've got to talk to like I have a local printer. I didn't have to. I could have done with like an online or an internet printer. But I wanted somebody that I could talk to, being my first time dealing with printing and pages and ink and all that stuff. I wanted to talk to the person, instead of having to go through customer service, AI bot or something. And so that really helped, bouncing things off of them. Let's try this instead. Or, you just really got to talk with people and listen to people who have gone through it before. And then when you go to budget, don't think that, if I want to get 500 books made and then I'm going to put those 500 books into a local comic shop or something. That's not how I approached it anyways. Maybe somebody else has, but mine was like, let me get 100 people. Let me at least prove to myself that I can at least generate 100 sales. And then we'll go to the next step of trying to get 150 sales, or 200 or whatever it is, until we slowly grow it out. And then that you're getting people who are truly interested in your project. Not just, it's this or it's that. Let me pick that up real quick. No, I want you to come back for the next one too.
Mm-hmm. Like you got me with the werewolves. I'm glad you dropped that.
Yes.
No, man, I told you that world you made, that's exciting, and seeing how expansive that it gets the potential to be expansive. I'm interested. I want to see more and where that goes, especially with this
I like about fantasy. What's that? I'm sorry.
Especially with this decision that you made in this first book, and how that truth is going to be revealed to the rest of the party. The relationship between the brothers, where this guy who just experienced something crazy, where does he go from here, and what's his outlook on being out here in this foreign world with these dudes that he did not like
to begin
12
with
hours ago. Yeah. So that's I'm excited to see that and truly want more of the book, man. Okay, so y'all, I could have segued into something else, which I kind of want to, but as far as the money, BA, is it the same with you? You kind of knew how much you wanted to or needed to put up to get the book. Who did you go to get a print out, and how you talk to the people?
Yeah, so this is, and I'm sure this will tie into that segue, but this is where a lot of fans or new readers and also new creators entering the space don't understand the amount of time and money it takes to make a comic. And I only made a mini comic. Even on the novel side, right? To get a good editor for one book, you're talking like $1,500. And then you get cover art and, a lot of other costs. And you're not even talking about printing at that point. You got to spend hundreds of hours to set up your Indiegogo, to do the thumbnails, to put together marketing material, all of that stuff. Because
to put up a theme for your brand, you know, talking to logo designers, talking to character designer. Yeah. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
we don't have the luxury of hiring people to do everything for us, unfortunately. And when you're the writer, and only the writer, you're footing the bill for everything. Now, some folks, they're able to draw and write their book, which is a benefit, but it also means a lot more time. So it takes a lot longer to get it out. But
That's me.
to make a really high quality comic, I mean, you're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And I did purposely set my goal kind of low, kind of middle range of what I actually needed, because a lot of times if you put it a little high, folks may not back you because you're new, you're unknown, and they think it won't get funded.
Yep.
And that's
Baby
happened,
steps.
unfortunately, too many times because for us, it's all about reach because we don't have big folks for the most part, right, promoting us. You know, we don't have that leg up that some folks do, which is why I really push new creators. Like, you got to ask for help. You got to talk to people that have been through this, get information from them, and also reach out to promoters and ask to be promoted. Like, you can't just organically put your book up on any platform with no following and actually succeed. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
You see,
exactly. I
you
went
see
straight to
all
Kickstarter.
these, yep,
Nothing. You know?
you see all these people, including myself. You'll put a book up on Amazon. Oh, millions of people are going to see it. No, they're not. The algorithm does not like you if you're not paying for
Nope.
marketing, if you're not a big name. Amazon wants to make money. That's all they care about.
You need like at least 50 reviews to even be picked up by an algorithm.
Yep. So on top of that, you really have to stream, meaning doing things like this right here for probably hundreds of hours during that 60-day campaign. I mean, I was on at least 30, 40 shows. Some were really small, and I did end up getting lucky to get on some really big ones. So it's a job on top of a job on top of a job. And so, yeah, it's an expensive endeavor. It's a lot of work. I mean,
Just for the time, let alone the money. Yeah.
Finding a printer isn't that difficult, but you might have a couple bad print runs. You got to deal with a lot of customer service. You got to fine tune things, and you also have to be patient and vet several printers because the price difference amongst these printers can be huge. But that's why the products that we're providing are kind of at a premium price because, again, we're doing all the work. We don't have the purchasing leverage to buy tens of thousands of books like some people. And so that's obviously reflected in the price. We don't have business deals with FedEx, with UPS, any of that stuff. So,
But I will say this also that we do have on our side is the fact that I will have this to sell for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Like Jose's artwork won't decline in value. So like the more of these that I make, once I complete the first story arc, I'll have that arc, a complete arc that I can sell in perpetuity. Make it to 80 years old. I'm still in conventions at 79 selling them,
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's, being an indie creator is, you think you go into it thinking, the cost, how much work it's going to be. You need to multiply that a couple times over. It's a beast in and of itself, and a lot of people that are outside of the indie community or new to it don't truly understand what it takes. But now
don't say community. Don't say community. It's a loaded word.
But once you're done with the campaign, and if you've had a successful campaign, it's very relieving. You've learned from all those things. You know how to fine tune it. It's you can kind of coast and just sell. The pressure is off a bit, and you can do it better the second time around. And so yeah, it's a learning experience, that's for sure.
Okay, yeah. As far as that transition to the next topic, I guess y'all kind of talked about the state of independent comics, which I went through, and learning from a lot of these other guys, which I need to reach out to more of you guys to know, because this year I have to be serious about my shit and get it out. I am the writer and the artist too. So it's pretty much
Mhm.
all on me.
Yeah, I haven't
Um,
heard what your project is. I want to hear about that. So yeah, I can't wait to see you doing your circuit. Like, just start building up. Get a landing page, a mailer, email sign up page, and start promoting. You know, get a little bit of art together as much
Mhm.
as you can. Maybe a little section of writing, and start right now.
Yeah, get it out
okay.
early, trust me, because
Mhm.
and
Just
this
start
is
talking about it.
just a quick little kind of lessons learned, which was a positive on my end was, a lot of people they'll wait until like a month or two before they launch, be like, hey,
Yep.
here's my project, and then they're rushing to get people to know about it. I treated my sign up page or pre-launch like my campaign, and I did it like 8 months before I launched. So I already had hundreds of people signed up. Like I already had kind of learned how to do tweets in a certain way, how to market it, so that when I did launch, like I hit the ground running. I think a lot of people start too late. As soon as you have a great piece of art, start promoting your IP, start getting it out there. People will get excited, you'll get them on the hook. Doesn't matter if it's a year or two later, use that to build your Twitter following. I mean, I
Hmm.
started with like less than 500 followers before my pre-launch, and now a year later I'm at over 2,100, and it's all
Hmm.
because of Corey's art and Joe's art. That art is your marketing tool, so
Yep.
use it, abuse it, treat it like a prostitute.
Whoa.
I have no experience with those.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
in my
Me neither.
book.
Me neither.
Hey man, no, you got to know firsthand. If you're gonna put something in your book, you got to know about it. You need to get into the life of the stripper, of the prostitute.
Yeah,
Go do that research.
this is research. It's research, honey.
All right, so the state of independence, and then y'all talked about y'all already had your campaigns done.
Mhm.
What happened with this whole Eric July situation? How did this conversation get into it? What are y'all thoughts? Talk to me. What happened? And then I'll come in when I said my piece about whatever.
Yeah, so since that whole event kind of spurred from my tame observation, I've been, since I'm really close knit with Comicsgate and a lot of the folks in there, this has been a very long kind of journey. When Eric first came out with iSummer, announced it, CG really, really had his back. I mean, everybody was promoting him, including myself. Everyone was supporting him, and it really helped him launch. I mean, a lot of people, they're only seeing bits of this, and a lot of it is just on one side. He didn't just magically create a comic. He didn't learn everything on his own. He got help from people. And this whole event happened because he started telling people never ask for help, never ask for promotion. You need to organically grind. It's the old, bootstraps, just work, work, work. Well, he actually got a ton of advice from Ethan Van Sciver, other creators that actually helped him know how to start, where to print, how to even create a comic, right? Because he's not a writer. He's never done comics, right? He's a YouTube influencer. It's a completely different world. And that started a bit of a feud, between EVS, Ethan Van Sciver in July. And, over time, a lot of folks in CG started realizing, like, hey, everybody bent over backwards, helped this guy out, bought his book, promoted him. It's really strange that he is not showing any urge or interest in promoting folks in general at all in indie.
All right, but yeah,
And
I gotta interject. Okay.
well, hold on. Now, the thing
Okay.
is,
All right.
he entered a community that has established ways and expectations, right? CG indie comics, it started blowing up about 5-6 years ago, right? Or maybe even 7
See the
years
stuff
ago.
that you saying.
Oh, hold on.
I feel you. I'm gonna let you keep going. I ain't going, but I'm just like, okay, there are some points that I need to. Okay, there's two things now that I gotta respond to.
And the
Keep
reason
going.
why indie comics has become so so healthy and so financially viable is because of the people that laid the groundwork, which
Hmm.
are folks like Richard C. Meyer, EVS, Shane Davis, all these folks. All these folks promote other people. They treated it like a community. Everyone helps each other out. Let's grow the entire community so that we can show the mainstream, like, hey, we can do this, we can do it better, and eventually maybe leak back into the mainstream and change the landscape. So when new folks come in and they take the support from everyone, but they don't want to give it back, that is kind of insulting to all those folks that have been grinding and helping each other for all those years, right? The people that actually made the community what it is. And so over time, more and more folks have kind of stepped back and been like, hey, I don't feel like he's reciprocating on all the support. We don't really like, kind of the approach, the attitude. You know, we're seeing some folks that are just benefiting from the community, but don't want to put back in, where it's just solely about profit and business. And if you want to be like that, that's fine, but just own up to it. Just be honest and say, hey, I have no interest in promoting folks, right? I have no interest in growing the community. Like, I want to be part of the big three one day, right? I want to be the competitor of Marvel and DC. That's fine. But don't kind of dip your toe in and say, oh, I support indies or I'm part of the community, but then step back and say, oh, there is no community and I have no interest. So, problem is, a lot of these new indie comic fans were not comic fans, right? They're fans of a name, they're fans of an ideology, and they're coming in and attacking all these creators and folks that are saying, hey, we'd just like to see some folks promote. We want the community to grow. And a lot of it's tame observation. And this whole event happened because one of those super fans was going on and on about Eric's success, this, that, and the other, and about how it was based around his comic. And all my counter was, and Eric's admitted this in the past, it's basic information of the reason why he was so successful with ISOM was because he had years of a growing following from music and political commentary, complaining about Disney, Marvel, DC, right? It was because of his name and the work he put in outside of comics that made his comics financially successful. That's not criticism, that's just a basic observation. And what's been happening is these super fans, they love to try to initiate a dogpile on these folks that either criticize or have these observations. And so that person screenshotted my comment, of course, didn't add the context to the entire thread, tags Eric, and then Eric loves to then say, oh, quote tweet, hey, look at what this creator is saying. It's a lie, it's this, it's that. And it happened yesterday to one of the most genuine and nice guys in indie comics that promotes folks, that actually gives free lessons on how to draw.
Who?
My artist brother, Clayton Barton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw something like that. I don't
And
know.
so he's, and some of his fans are also very, very, very nasty. There's a lot of vitriol that gets thrown at creators that don't have the same mindset or belief system as him. I would never let, I don't even want fans. I don't like, calling people fans, but point is, he leans into it. Hey, I'm going to put this guy on blast.
Well, and the thing is that we will be dogpiled or like, basically held up and say, oh my God, these guys are factually false. Okay, well, how about the fact that he's picking on somebody who has 2,000 followers? He has 180. Like, where is the exchange here, where he's held accountable to the same stuff that we're held accountable for? When does that happen? It won't by the true believers. It will never happen. So it will only be standing in front of a firing squad.
Mm-hmm.
If a wild animal makes a kill and it's eating, it don't care if it's a big predator coming to take the kill or if it's a little jackal. Both of y'all gonna get the same amount of aggression, because you came and
indie creators are not predators. He came into the territory of indie creators and is trying to tell everyone this is how you need to do it because I made money.
Okay, hold on. BA.
He's
All right,
not
so
an
let me go.
expert
Let me
of
go through.
comics.
So let me go through my points because that is one of the issues I have with what you said. He's never said that.
Said what?
He wants to be a part of independent comic creator movement or something
He
like that.
calls himself indie, and he
He's
attaches to the indie
he's a,
community. He
he
uses the
says
Iron
he's
Age
an
tag.
he says he's an independent creator. Iron
Mhm.
Age is not a specific group of people. It is just a time period where more
Some
people
people
are creating
disagree,
for
but
themselves. Okay,
why would he
so people
latch
have
on to an
different.
indie
So people
tag
have
though?
different definitions because he's creating during the Iron Age. He's not associating himself with the mainstream, and he's not saying I'm part of a particular group. He's an individual that wanted to do his own thing. Let me go through my points because of what you said. You said that he said you should do it alone, don't ask for help.
Mhm.
Eric never said that.
Yes, he literally did in a tweet. I mean, I'm
What?
sure we could find it. He said
I don't
never
know.
ever.
I don't follow the guy. All I did was I saw him take him out of context, and then I said, "Where did he say that?" And then he would not answer. So, and then somebody like Hale the Lore, who was constantly nipping at heels for attention, will constantly tell me that I'm wrong or that whoever says that Eric is, this or that. We're always wrong. It's never any. Oh well, there was this. No, it's always we're wrong. We're wrong. We're wrong. I
Okay.
don't want to hear how like you can redefine this word or that word's not right, or I don't really care about any of that stuff. I just saw somebody getting dogpiled, and I grew up seeing bullies, and I see them now in
All right.
professional life too, and I don't like it either way.
So that's the thing. I wouldn't say bullying because BA's done
Of
this.
course not.
I've seen
We
so
did
many
that for
other
somebody
What have I
else?
done?
Of course.
I've seen so many other Twitter people, whatever, and content creators, whoever people claim themselves to be, where instead of replying, it happens to me, and I'm just like, it's weird as fuck. It's pretty gay. Why are you quote tweeting my response as opposed to simply replying and having a conversation? So everybody is a victim of that. And I don't agree with y'all saying, well, Eric shouldn't be because he's big and this person is small. Honestly,
no, he can,
if
but I'm
shitting
also going to
on
push
somebody-
back.
if I'm shitting on somebody, I don't care how big or small they are. If you bring that energy to me, I might pick you today to go off on somebody, or I might pick 10 people to go off. It depends on how much time I got. So I don't see it as bullying because everybody does their gay ass quote tweeting because it's like, look at what this person said. They retarded. I don't know if you saying help me shit on them or you just highlighting the fact that you shitting on them. So I wouldn't say that that's bullying when he does it. He just pointed out some dumb shit and he wanted to respond to, which
he
he has
knows-
the right.
And he was wrong.
Right.
So I made a comment saying that he was wrong. And
the
then the fact
problem
that
is-
he tried to, get a dog pile on out of context conversation. And I rebutted with a lot of the arguments that I hear against him. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't pay attention to Eric or anything. The fact that he was even in my feed is pretty rare. And I wouldn't have cared if I hadn't seen him misquote tweet somebody I do know. So that's the only reason that I even got involved in it. And I don't have anything against Eric. He can do whatever the hell he wants and all that stuff. And I have nothing, especially I have nothing against his fans. You guys, I'm not like, oh, his fans or whatever. No, it
Some
just
of them
happens with large personalities. You're gonna have crappy people in the apple barrel or whatever, So please don't take me out of context on any of this either. So
when
I'm
you
sorry,
have
go ahead.
hundreds of thousands of followers and the person is a creator and they have just a mild critique or just an observation like mine, if you quote tweet them and you're framing it in a way that could make them look bad, it's going to initiate a dog pile because his fans constantly do it. He literally has done it to 5 CG creators in the last week.
Hold on, because and this is why I don't chase the clout or try to go after the drama, but I do like to have conversations.
Which means you don't know the context if you're not following it very well.
Hold on. Because I followed that conversation, which again, all this gas quote tweeting, I'm like, y'all making me constantly have to go back to this and this and that. But anyway, BA, if I have an issue with, or if I see something that you said where I'm just like, hey, bro, that was kind of weird, I will message you in private and let you know. So I'm not, I'm not doing this because we're live right now. There was a conversation where somebody said something mild about your book. I forgot who she was.
Oh,
Maybe she
yeah,
was a
she
furry, some
actually,
weird
yeah,
ass.
I know. She lied about my book.
Okay, no, I don't remember her lying about the book. Basically, she
Well, you
said
haven't read
it's
the book,
not,
that's why you wouldn't know it, that she lied about it.
but
She framed it as
this is
something.
she said this is not for me based off of the perception that I'm getting, based off of what I'm seeing, which we all do. What does this look like? Okay, is for me or is not? Based off of her saying it wasn't for her, you kind of went off and took it to a level to where I was like,
So,
I don't think that was really warranted.
so she
And
did a
and I
quote.
said you were what she said. I was like, me, I can look at that and not see what you saw. But
So
maybe it
let
was
me,
because of you. It could have been personal, but I was like, don't make it
yeah.
something that it doesn't have to be
So
if
let
it's
me add
not
the
that.
the context. She made a quote tweet about my project and said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna back this." So first off, why the
You're breaking
fuck
up.
would
You're
you do
breaking up.
that? Better now? Can you hear me?
Hold on. So you was breaking up. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Okay.
I
So this person did a quote tweet about a link to my book saying, "No, I'm not going to back this. It's about anti-heroes and it's pushing the things of Image Comics." And also said it's not about paragons. So first off, why would you make a public announcement that you're not going to back a book? Anyone with any social
that,
skills would realize, like, hey, this could actually make it look bad to her followers and kind of push them towards not backing it. And then she says it's about anti-heroes, which is factually false. And
okay.
how would she know that? Because she
Are
she
you
never
saying
read it.
are you saying this is like a if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? You saying she should have just not said anything? I
Yeah,
can
why would you
agree with
announce
that.
something like
I
that?
can agree with that. I can agree with that. But
Okay.
she has the freedom to say,
And
I
I have the
don't want to
freedom
back
to
it.
respond and clap back.
But
It's
all
just like what happened with
but
Aaron.
she didn't send any negative energy towards you. She
Yes,
just said,
she
I don't like
did.
anti-heroes. This looks
It
like a dark tone story. Image Comics, she's not saying you're pushing some woke agenda or something. She just saying you're making more stories like this as opposed to the lighter stories that I'm
but
used to
that's
from like
not
this company. That's all
but
she
that's
said. So if
right.
she's a
And
if she's a content creator and she reviews stuff, then people value her opinion. Her honest
and she
opinion
didn't
was
read the
this doesn't look
book.
like
And all I clarified
I don't
was,
have to watch a Zack Snyder movie to know I'm not going to like this shit. The tone itself and what I see from the characters, how they're presented, lets me know I'm not interested in
okay,
this
if
story.
she makes a statement saying this is about anti-heroes and hasn't read the book, and I clarify and say, hey, this is not about anti-heroes, you don't see the problem with that? She's making a narrative about
No,
something she hasn't
she
even
said it this
read.
like you said. You make it
No,
as if she said
no, she
this
said
dude
it is.
messes with little kids in the book or does some weird shit like that. She didn't say that. She was just like, it's not a tone that I like, so I'm just not going to buy it. This is not a story for me. I did a video about some childish like dinosaurs fighting or some shit. There's some independent project coming out. And I know that's not a tone that a lot of people that follow me actually look for. But I like that shit. So I'm,
Yeah,
if I say
yeah.
I like it or I don't, then people would expect that because of who I am and what I like. And
Well,
if you follow
she
me, you would know.
look.
That's
I like to call it hypocrisy. She claims to support the indie community and indie folks, but then makes a quote tweet to put a project on blast to announce she's not backing it. She had an issue with me. There's more context to it. We're in the same Discord. She's also made critiques of me and the things I like, and she has liked to take jabs at the fact that I like Zack Snyder because these people that don't like Zack Snyder are fickle and weak. So she was taking a jab at me. So
don't
again, you're
say
not in.
that.
Well, hold
I
on.
can be
You were
I
not
can
in.
be offended.
See,
You
this
said
is the
people who don't
problem.
like Zack Snyder
You
are fickle, and I don't
no
like
no.
him. So now you're calling me fickle.
But
Yeah.
Which
look,
I
you
could respond and say you clapped at me, so I should clap back
okay.
at you. I'm
Most
just
are
saying let's not
fickle.
make
There we go. Most. The point is, you don't know the context. You don't know the backstory. You're not in that Discord, right? You don't know that she's taken shots at me before. So yes, when you come into it, you might think, oh, it's okay that she's just making an announcement that I'm not going to back this and this is normal. But
Okay, BA, I agree with that. I
it's not.
agree. But just like
Is that
you
your
said,
AJ
I
voice?
didn't know the context.
So real
Just
quick,
like, hold on.
hold
Just
on.
like I didn't have context, other people on the internet might not have
Okay,
context.
so
So
I'm
they
I'm
can
gonna
see
read
you
you
blow up and
Eric's.
be
I'm
like,
gonna read you Eric's tweet
hold on, people can
verbatim
see you blow up and be like,
before my
what the
phone
fuck was
dies.
that about
I
for?
have
All right, bro,
1%.
go.
All right,
Okay.
this is his tweet verbatim. I have 1% left. We'll see how much I can get through. If I could offer perspective advice for people on this topic, as I think it's helpful for aspiring businessmen, this will apply no matter what, if you're selling comics or pancakes. Never ever ask for, wait, or expect people to put you on or promote you. This shouldn't even be in the back of your mind. It should never be something that you think about. Waiting on someone else is going to only frustrate you. This especially applies if you do get promoted and it doesn't translate into sales that you hoped. Let promotion by others happen organically, big or small. Don't wait or expect. He literally said, never ever ask for promotion. That is the absolute worst advice you can give to a small indie creator, because me and Aaron would not have been funded if we didn't ask for promotion.
No.
Are you
Or didn't
saying that he
provide it.
literally said don't ask for promotion? What I take from that, which
Literally.
I completely agree with
Verbatim.
what he said, don't ask for people to promote you based
That's
off of just
stupid.
that. No,
That's
listen. You
absolutely
make
stupid.
something. You make something. Remember, you already said and acknowledged that he did to work to promote himself before the
You
book
expect
even came
everyone
into the
else for
picture.
18 years to grift off of politics
Everybody
and to
don't
be a
have to take
musician?
18 years to
So
promote
so
or
how
get
did he
something out there.
how did Fire from the Gods, his metal band, how did they get on a record label? Because they submitted tapes. That's
I
called
don't.
asking for
Okay,
promotion.
that
That's
means
how
they
it
put a
works.
One
product.
second,
He's a
guys. I'm
hypocrite.
sorry. I don't know much about this Eric's past, and I don't know about all that stuff. So, and I
Neither
do
does
gotta
AJ.
go a half an hour ago. So, thank you for having me on. It was a very good conversation, and I'm gonna head out. So, thank you guys. And check if what you saw here looks interesting. Come check out my stuff, and I plan on being around for a while. So, if you miss this one, I will be doing another campaign this coming, or I guess this year now. So, in the meantime, I will see you guys around Twitter, and don't forget, and YouTube, and don't forget, some of this is just performative wrestling. So, anyways, good night, guys. Have a good day.
I'm about to drop your link. All right, he out. He had to go. All right, BA. We about to get back to it. All right, that's his comic. Hey, it's a damn good book. So yeah, if you saw what happened on Twitter and it's like, this dude weird or whatever, I'm like, I hate that some of y'all are reacting these ways, because I do see it is turning off some people, BA. And if you got an amazing product, then it is cutting out some of those people from
Well,
supporting.
yeah, and when a huge creator with hundreds of thousands of subscribers creates a dog pile and a fake narrative and it makes them lose sales, everyone should not be okay with that. But everyone likes to back the big
all right,
guys.
we're talking about fake narratives. We're talking about, and I understand that there's sheeple, there's that everywhere, which I've told you that. But you can't hold it against the creator for those people being there. So you said do it alone. Don't ask for the promotion. He never said that. What
It's
that
in
means
his
is
tweet.
don't
I read it verbatim.
put out.
He said it in
Okay,
live streams
what
as
that
well.
means when he said don't. What he's saying by don't ask for promotion is don't expect. He said you're gonna be waiting for a long time if you're waiting on other
Then
people
he
to
should have said
promote
don't.
you.
Why would you say the word ask? It's literally what he said, and
Because
he's
people
reiterated it.
ask for promotion.
And they
So
should.
many people ask for promotion, and then when you consume the product or look at the product, it's shit. So if they're
Doesn't-
valuing that as opposed to putting out the best product that they can,
So a couple.
then you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to be like, hey, check out my book. Check out my book. Why is nobody responding to me? Why is nobody checking out my book? Why am I not getting sales? Because that shit sucks.
That's on the
Because shit
promoter
sucks,
to
but
vet
you're
them.
relying on promotion.
That's on the
Okay,
that's on
so
the promoter to
just
vet
don't
them.
make that the factor in your success. How much will other people promote me? If you're a good person and if your work is good, then
No
it's
one will
just going
see
to
it.
come naturally. People
No,
are going
it's
to be like,
not.
hey, do you want to talk
No,
to my
it's
show?
not. It's not gonna happen naturally.
Okay, all right.
How do you think all
Okay.
those big comic creators became known? They applied to DC and Marvel. They asked to get put out there. It never happens organically. There are
Okay,
all
what about
these.
the other people that we talked about who put independent books out that look good, who never worked for Marvel or DC?
They all went on streams because they
'Cause there
asked
are
for
those too.
promotion. They asked for promotion and they went on people's streams.
This was before streaming was a thing, or before it was like, I guess, big to talk about this stuff. We've had independent comics before, but again, it goes back to make sure the work is amazing, so that when you present it to people, then they're like, oh, "Okay, let's get this book talked about." But your success is not dependent upon that. This is not the time of the radio where, or older generations of comic books where it took a name to kind of like get some eyes on you, because now we can, as he said, now you can make this following yourself and get people get eyes on your book, on your stores. My channel, for instance, there's not a lot of people here, but I never promote me on your channel, or can you shield my channel or some shit like
Why
that.
not?
I made some people was like, hey, you cool, I want you to come on. And then I'm like, all right, okay, for sure. And then as I go on, then people like, hey, I like this, I'm going to support it. So I think that's more organic than you sitting there begging, which I think
That's
he
not
didn't say
begging.
begging.
Asking politely is not begging. I got on over 30 streams because I asked. I got on Ethan Van Sciver's channel because I asked. If I would not have
Because
asked, my
you had
backers would
great
not have
work to
books.
back up your ask.
They only
Because you
saw it
had great work to back up.
Okay, and that's
Okay, you
and the
asked
promote.
and you had the product, but you had the
Right.
product that made them be like, oh, okay,
But
this is
but I
worth
had
it.
but I had to ask for them to vet the product. So to
So,
start from the
but he said,
beginning
don't
and to
rely
say,
on that.
no, he said don't ask. He
Okay,
literally
okay.
said the word ask. So either he
I
didn't
get
do a
what you're
good job
saying.
writing the tweet,
I get
but
what you're
that's what he
saying, but
said.
I'm telling you how he definitely meant it. Again, there are some people that reach out to me, be like, promote my shit. And I'm like, I gotta
Yeah,
be
you have the
honest,
right
I
to
don't
say
want to
no.
promote this. Okay, so if you have the right work, so don't allow that to be the main driving force or what you rely on. I'm going to make this, and everybody else is just going to love it so much that they're going to tell all their friends and family
But
about
see,
it.
that's the thing. Eric did not organically grow within the indie comic community.
He
came
didn't.
in
He never
right
claimed to either. He
because he
took
doesn't
advantage of the
he doesn't
situation
get
that he
it.
created for
Right.
himself.
He doesn't get it, and you also don't get it yet because you haven't done a crowdfunding campaign. You
Okay.
have to ask for promotion if you are not known, if you want to be successful in an indie comic or indie novel. It's just how it is.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
very few exceptions to the rule. They exist, but all of the guys that have raised $100,000 on their crowdfunding campaigns, $50,000, they asked people to promote them because you'd be stupid not to. It's good business to ask for promotion, to ask for marketing. If you're not turning every stone over possible, you're doing yourself a disservice. Being too prideful, like I can't ask for help. You know what? Eric asked for help from EVS to be able to know how to create a comic. He
Oh, how to
asked.
create a comic, not how to promote a book, not how to get it out there to the people. I have no knowledge of the conversation, but I'm just going to assume because Eric has said this, how would you go about making a comic book? Not, hey,
It's
when
the
I make my
same.
book, can you support and promote and
Asking
do
for
all this
help
other
is
stuff?
asking for help. It doesn't matter what facet
He never
of the
said don't ask for
process.
people for help. I actually remember the exact
Yes, he
opposite where he's
has.
saying do get around people who know some things. He talked about this in more than just comic books and anything that you do. Get around people or follow, get the information of those who actually know what they're talking about. Learn from it. Even with him, he's like, watch what I do. The mistakes that I made, pay attention to me so that you don't make those and get something good out of what it is that I'm doing. Which he said with other people that he's done. And he said about an EVS. Like I asked these people that I knew who made comics on how to go about doing it. What's their process? Just like I was asking you and Aaron C right now. It's like, I know I have a dream. I truly don't know the steps to go about it. You took those steps. What information do you have for me? But it's just information that I'm going to take and apply it as I see fit. Now, you said he came into this thing like basically he took advantage of you people and now he ain't giving y'all shit back. You said that comics is it Comicsgate? I don't know what to call it. I wouldn't say
Yeah,
independent movement
it's
because everybody is not under that. But you're saying he went to Comicsgate, these people in particular. He never said that he wanted to attach himself to a Comicsgate or to a group of people. He was cool with y'all, but that don't make you a part
he
of them. That
loved
doesn't make you.
their promotion for sure. Yeah.
I would love if people promoted my shit. That don't mean I have to be lockstep with you and I gotta,
No,
I
not
don't know,
saying
like
he needs to be,
do
but he
something.
hired half of his team was CG at a point, and I don't look. The point is
If you
he
say
doesn't
that to
have a
me, that's supporting someone. If you're willing to hire them and put them on more projects and make sure they have work, that's supporting something. You said something that was weird though. You said Comicsgate has a set ways, set rules that Eric is not abiding by. He's not attached himself to this group, so he doesn't have to apply.
and
These
that's
rules don't
why he's
apply to him.
losing support of those groups, and why those folks don't appreciate being dogpiled on and
I
insulted.
also recall him supporting people like Tugs, for instance, which I really don't know that dude, but I remember Eric promoting his book and Eric talking about a lot of other books. I wasn't really into the independent stuff, but he would talk about these people's projects. And I've told you before, we don't know what he honestly supports behind the scenes or in his personal time because everything doesn't have to be on the camera for it to be true. Um, the supporting the others and whatnot. So he supported independents or promoted their stuff.
Very few. His own
But
employees, basically.
but he still has. And from what you said, I'm going back to what you said with these people in Comicsgate, is like the set ways are y'all help me,
Mindset.
then I'm promote you and all that type of stuff. Well, if he didn't depend on them to make his book, he took advice, he took information, but he
Got
didn't
help.
depend on them. Okay, he got help, but he didn't depend on them to actually take part in the creative process of making the book. Again, it was on him whether or not he was going to apply the information that he gave. So why is he obligated to give people something that he did not receive from them?
No one's saying he's obligated. Everyone is making a team observation saying he should promote. It's a
You say
recommendation.
you
It's a
say he's not,
suggestion.
and because he hasn't, then you're trying to enact consequences or hold his feet to a fire. So I'm like,
No,
that's saying you're obligated to. That
no,
means you need to because of this.
no,
And if
no,
you don't, then consequences are to
no,
be exacted on you.
no.
That's
I'm
your
saying
issue with him right now.
no. The
You
issue
didn't say
is
that. He don't support independence.
I don't think
You
he's
say he
very
claimed to be it.
supportive of independence. No, but the thing is, what he's doing is someone makes a mild observation like, "Hey, I notice he doesn't promote people. I wish he would," and then he'll do a quote tweet, and it initiates a dog pile. Dude, you made your whole career insulting and making fun of DC, Marvel, etc., Disney, and you can't take a mild observation?
What do
That's
you mean
all
a
that's
mild
happening.
observation of somebody saying something about his book?
Yeah, a lot of people will just make a tweet saying, "Hey, I don't agree with this video. This is why. It's not an attack. It's nothing mean." But he gets really defensive and then basically attacks, right? And the same thing happens. So many people said, "Hey, it's really weird that all these people promoted you, supported you, and I don't see you promoting other folks." And instead of being like, "Hey, I just don't do that. I don't want to do that," he tries to make excuses or says, "Oh, yes, I do support." And it's like, and people are like, "Well, where?"
So
Like,
again, you don't have to know what he supports. If somebody buys something, then that is supporting. Promotion is something else. It's a form of supporting, but it's
he
not
doesn't,
necessary for me
from
to
what we can see, he doesn't
support.
really buy
That's
a
from
lot of
what you can
indie
see. But
comics.
like I said, he has a life that's not on the internet, and you don't know what he's doing. So to just boldly claim he doesn't do something, that's kind of
No,
setting yourself up to be
I said
wrong.
it looks like a lot of people say it looks like he doesn't support indies. And based on what we see online, it does seem like he's not as supportive as a majority of the indie creators are. That's
And
what I'm saying.
he doesn't have
He
to.
doesn't have to be, but why be
So
defensive if he just doesn't want to do that?
so
That's what
why
I don't
give
get.
him so why do you have to give him shit for it? If
I
you say
haven't
he doesn't
really
have to, then why are you going to use
there's there's
that negative
hundreds
energy to complain about it?
there's 100 people or more literally just making basic observations. And the problem is his fans then find those statements or those observations, tag him, and initiate a dog pile, and it happens over and over again. Why? You've made millions. Why do you care if some people would like to see you promote? Like, what's the need to put other creators on blast? It's just
So
it's strange.
if he shouldn't care about what y'all gotta say, why do you care about even having to say it? If the dude don't support independence, then just all right, he don't support independence and
I
just
thought
move
everyone
on
had the
with your
right to
day.
say what they would like.
They do. They definitely do, and you can say it, and that means he can
And-
respond back. But then
and it's-
y'all the ones talking about he bullying.
And it's because a lot of the creators in this space and the fans have been there for 7 years plus. They really
People
care
are
about the
mad
community,
at
and
how
they're seeing
fast
it
he
going in a
made
bad
his
direction.
success in comics, but
No.
are not acknowledging that he did so much other work before then that
Nope. People
honestly,
acknowledge it.
I didn't know about independent comics really until his success and him supporting other people and other independent people taking advantage of that. Then I was like, oh shit, you got a book? You got a book? So then I went and supported other people. You are one of those people. So he did a lot for independent comics than people who just made something and just waiting for some money to come about and then bitching because it ain't.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay, you said people supported him and he got all this from Comicsgate. I remember him saying, and I have no knowledge of fucking Comicsgate. I bought Cyberfraud. Other than that,
Part
I
of the
really
problem.
don't know much about it.
There's so much more behind
It's
it. There's so
fine. I
much
don't
more
have
context.
to. Okay. I recall people or Eric saying that people were telling him that he was not going to be successful in like making his own website, or a lot of the decisions that he was making was dumb. A lot of that, and then you have all of the people who come to him in bad faith, who have a lot of criticisms of his book. And I do think
There's
if
no such
a
thing
man,
really as bad faith criticism in most cases.
there definitely is a bunch of
Depends on
cases
the
of
approach.
bad faith criticism, and it definitely depends on the history that people might have had and what their criticisms might be. But with that, I would think as much that comes this man's way, and you've acted out emotionally, BA. So if you want to say that Eric is acting out emotionally, we all can fall victim to that.
I'm not
I
sitting
don't
on
think there's
millions of
an
dollars, and I'm not sitting
I
on
don't think
hundreds of
there's an
thousands of
issue with a
subscribers.
person backlashing at people who are constantly slinging shit at him.
A lot of
If you
it's not
constantly
shit though.
talking shit,
It's tame observations and mild critique in most cases. Yes, there are some that take it to the extreme and all that. That's a small minority, but a lot of these people that have went through
it's not a
what
small
Aaron went through and
minority.
me,
It's
it
not a
is.
small minority, especially by when this man has said that he's heard the most racist shit he's ever had simply because he's made a comic book.
Have you heard what he's called people and what he's yeah.
Yes, and it's
yeah.
been nowhere near as offensive as a lot of the shit that they would call him, especially as a black person. So I mean, you got a whole bunch
There's no
of
difference.
negative.
It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're saying offensive things
There
to
is
any
a
color
difference.
or race, no,
If
there
I say
isn't.
you an asshole, then that's one thing. But if I say you a coon asshole or you some bootlicking N-word, all that type of shit, that
What
got
about a
some
white
different
bread
energy to
N-word?
it.
That's okay, right?
Let me see.
I've heard that several times. How's that acceptable? Or is
From
it just
Eric?
not?
You've heard it
Yeah.
from Eric?
Oh yeah. He's called Dick Masterson a white bread N-word and other
Now,
things several
okay.
times.
Since you want to have this
Is that
conversation,
acceptable?
okay. Let me address it, because when one of my people, Nosferatu, that's my guy, he's an Eric hater in my chat, and he would say the whole term pull up, and when Eric says that, it's automatically this aggressive thing. I want to fight you, meet me right now, gang type shit. That's how y'all perceive it. And I'm like, no, it just means we need to meet face to face. When your friends were like, hey, I'm 10
Hug and
minutes.
kiss?
No, it just we need to meet face to face, because when there's a screen in between, people get wild, they get reckless. But if we can meet face to face, we can actually address some things and squash it. And hopefully we're civilized enough to where it doesn't have to lead to physical aggression. It's a possibility, but that's not what it is. Just like I said, when your homie's telling you, hey, I'm some minutes away, or hey, you free today or something, yeah, pull up, meet at my house. When you buying, let's say, weed from the weed man or something, and he delivers, all right, pull up. Or if he can't get to you, then he'll tell you, pull up. It simply means let's meet face to face. So, yes, when people, the white bread, what that means is y'all equate it to something terrible. And it could be when people talk about this innate racism or all this type of shit. I don't subscribe to it, but I know it's based in truth. When people have this idea of what black people are, when Eric says something like that, then it is aggressive and it is taken that way. So then they get to spin the narrative of he's sensitive. Now he want to fight people because of words, when in actuality, all he said was words. Let's have words face to face because then the truth can come out. So that's what the white bread thing means. If he calls you a nigga, then I mean, sure, you can say it's offensive. My homie Ego told me stop saying it. So I'm like, all right, I don't need to say it anymore. But it is a word that he uses in his vocabulary. I mean, hey, you can take offense to that. But there's nothing racist about a black person calling the white person the N-word.
Well,
is that racist?
Bread, calling him white bread. I mean, come on. That was not.
I get what you're saying, but like I said, bro, the way y'all take some of our words, then it's like you automatically deem it as being some negative things. And that's what the white bread means. It means you can't step out of that world to understand me and the diction, the vocabulary that I use to get an actual understanding of my words as opposed to creating a narrative. So I mean, hey, you can take offense to that. But I will say that it's definitely offensive when a white person says those words to a black person. It's up to the individual how they're going to respond, though, to those words. All right, we've already talked about the doesn't give support back, and I talked to you about the quote tweeting thing and how that was gay. NBA, this is not I'm gonna shit on you and defend Eric. I truly want to.
Oh, that's how it always is. So I'm used to it. So.
All right. Well, I said this is not what it is. I'm having this conversation with you because I want to have it. I want to clear up some things. And then we did talk about comics. And I want to understand, again, what is you guys' issues with him? And you said your issues with him, but I've definitely disagreed with them. I don't think he owes anyone support. I have to deal with this myself. Okay. But your issue is that he's not supporting. And you said he's not following the rules of Comicsgate. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
the established mindset.
I said that's why people are making observations and they've stopped promoting and supporting him, which they have every right to. I will never support a creator that is only in it for themselves and does not support or help other people. That's what indies is about to me. You know, it's not mainstream, it's not Disney. Of course, we don't expect Disney to help other people, but I mean, come on. The only way we're going to change the creative landscape is by helping other indies and lifting others up. If you're only in it for yourself, then don't be surprised if people say something about it. That's all. If you're approaching it in a respectful way and just making an observation, that's my complaint. That's my main complaint. Is people like Aaron, myself, and a handful of others I've witnessed that I'm close with, where they've just made a basic observation and they get dogpiled, they get insulted from it. Their fans call them retards, call them this, call them that, make jokes about autism, all this stuff. That to me is not acceptable, and people should push back on that. What the critique and the observations that people in the community are making are so calm and tame compared to the criticisms that Eric and all these other YouTubers make of Disney, of Marvel, of DC, of Snyder. But for some reason, when it comes to them, and again, a much calmer way, everyone freaks out, says it's unacceptable.
Say what you just said. Say what you just said again. I kind of missed that first part where you're saying they can, would you say, complain about Marvel or DC, Disney?
They can give it, but they can't take it. But what they're taking is very mild critique and observations in comparison to how extremely critical they are of Disney, Marvel, and DC.
So with that, I would say, to give you pushback, when people bring up that point, then to me, I would say these are people who are passionate about something and they're seeing an evolution of it, not for the better. So they're seeing it on a decline. They're seeing how their shit's been affected by these real world issues and how that's being pushed. Right? We were talking about the social engineering. So I don't equate, I don't put those on the same level of them and myself talking about those companies who've made projects all this time and we're pointing out the decline,
Well,
as opposed to you saying, I don't like
well,
this
we're al-
book
we're also
that you just made.
seeing. I don't care about the book. I have no interest in the book. I don't even talk about the book, right? I'm talking
About
about
Isom.
right. I'm talking about the indie community, and it's what you just said is exactly what we're experiencing. This new wave of, I guess, comic readers and
Hmm.
new creators like Eric, we see a decline in the indie community. It's creating division, it's creating unrealistic expectations because you have all these fans and Eric basically saying, hey, you shouldn't be asking for promotion. People have been saying, oh, it's begging, it's this, you're a commie, all this garbage. And it's actually creating division. And all these new fans are pushing this idea that, hey, crowdfunding is bad. You should do direct market. You should be able to pay for everything up front and everything should be on time because they don't actually understand indie comics. They don't understand the tens of thousands of dollars that it costs us to make these products, the amount of work we have to do, the fact that we can't
Okay.
hire everyone to do the entire process. So
Okay.
for
But
us,
BA,
we see a decline, just like you see a decline in Disney, Marvel, and DC. And that's
okay,
fair for us
but
to do that.
decline for two different reasons though. One is pushing an agenda. The other, which he didn't say it was everybody, he said the business practice of sitting on people's money is what turns a lot of people off. He never
He's
said that
pushing a
everybody was
narrative.
over there. He's
No,
not pushing it a narrative. It is true.
yeah,
Some
but no,
people
it's not.
sit
It's
on
a
some
small
people's
percentage.
money.
It's a very small percentage. It's just like
Okay,
if you
I'm
go
going.
to a
That's
mechanic,
going off
right?
of you saying this, and then Eric is talking about how many people have come to him like, oh snap, you gave me the book within record time. I still have
Yes,
all these other
because
campaigns that I've backed.
because
When
he's
I've
not
said
like
to
an
you,
indie.
but I've
When
said
you
to you and
when you're
John A.
sitting
Douglas, I was
on
like, oh shit, y'all got me that book real quick. So if you're not that person, why are you taking such offense to it?
okay, so
Why
the
can't
reason
you
be,
continue to do the
because
work
I
to make sure
because
you're the
I
one that's putting out your project on time and a quality project?
because
Because
I
then that don't apply to you.
understand
It
I
just applies to the
understand I understand what those indies are going through. I took I was fortunate enough to be able to take a financial risk to fund it all in advance. Very, very few have that luxury. And to be quite honest, that may not have been the safest thing for me to do, right? Had I lost my job, that would have been horrible for my family, right? I took a leap of faith.
Mhm.
It worked out. I was lucky. Others do not have that luxury. Not everyone makes the same amount of money, etc., right? We know how this works. So these creators literally cannot bring these projects to life without crowdfunding. And a lot of them, they will say, hey, it's going to be 6 months or more after this campaign ends until the book is done. The other thing is you have no control over how quick your artist does a piece. You have no control over life events that happen in their life, your own life. People need to understand crowdfunding. The people that have been backing crowdfunders for years, they understand the process. They realize that that date is not set in stone. It can be flexible as long as creators are giving updates. The problem is Eric was fortunate, right? He had a leg up. He had hundreds of thousands of dollars that was disposable income. That is a rarity, right? That is not
Mhm.
99.9% of indies. And those fans now are applying that same expectation on the rest of the indie community. Like you need to pay it all up front. You need to ship immediately after it's done. You need to not do crowdfunding. And that is extremely destructive to the indie community because that's the lifeblood of indies is crowdfunding. And yes, there is a very, very small percent, right, that do not actually provide the product or they take years. But again, it's no different. You go to any mechanic, there's a small chance that you're going to get a dud, right? You should not judge an entire industry or an entire group of people based on just a couple people. That is wrong to do, and that's what I'm trying to highlight. Is it's creating this division, and it's these narratives being pushed about crowdfunding and creators is not fair at all.
All right. There's people. There's a lot of stuff made in the comments. Being said in the comments. I should address the super chats because, I mean, people are blessing me with money. So there you go. I'll give you that. What's up, Mr. Grant Gregor? He came through. I'm glad he's staying for the conversation. You say Eric gets defensive when someone gives him criticism, whether he makes $1 or $1 million. He cares what people think. Why is that an issue?
It's fine for him to respond, but it's how he's responding, and either maybe he doesn't realize that putting a small creator on blast in front of 150,000 followers could damage them, right? Or put them in a bad light. I doubt that, but again, it's how it's being perceived.
I think if somebody smalls put a false narrative on a bigger person, then it can just as well do the same amount of damage.
Yeah, but you can't say it's a false narrative. A lot of these again are observations. The quote.
I just pointed out to you how these are false narratives. He does support independent creators. He never said don't.
But to us,
I've seen him talk about the books.
A couple.
He doesn't have to show me a book and be like, "I got this." He can support with his money by
his own employees.
Cool. It's not his own employees. It's people that weren't employed
Almost
before he was even full time at Rippaverse. And this is before. I'm not talking about just the thing where he just
I'm talking
gave people the money.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, I've heard him back some books that weren't employees of his. So I mean, there you go. I
beyond the donations.
What do you mean?
Are you talking about just the recent donations that he made and the slap
I'm
face
saying
to Aaron, or?
I said before that when he was talking about books. Before
I'm talking about when he entered, the creative sphere of comics. I'm not talking before that,
Well, he supported books. That's all I'm saying. That's a false narrative. That's what I'm saying with that one.
Yeah, but that's fine if he's supported a couple of books. I'm talking about the overall arch of being supportive to the community. Yeah, maybe he's
giving people jobs,
small degree compared to others that have done it to a large degree.
Static said, never bought a book before Isom. Now I have a ton of Comics Gate books and still waiting on some. All this drama has turned me off to everyone. I didn't buy Cyberfrog until I bought Isom. So he's been putting a lot of people on notice of independent comics. So I think a lot of this has been, Eric, you don't support the way we want you to support. But what he's doing is bringing more attention to independent comic creators, independent people, because another draw of Eric to me, or me to Eric, was he talked about the politics. And he was saying that this parallel economy is not just with comics or just some shit that we can enjoy. People need to take control of, you said, like plumbing, selling tissue paper, like whatever you can, people should be owning that and making their own. So it's not just comics. I think just like a lot of black people expect him to support black business, Blurs, and all this type of shit.
This is the problem.
He's saying it's not exclusive to one group. This information is for everybody to uplift.
The problem is, even people in your chat right now, everyone takes it to the extreme degree. They twist the words that people are saying. I am not saying he needs to support every single project. I'm not saying
twisted his by saying everyone. Don't ask for support.
I'm not saying no. He literally said that. Read the fucking tweet, dude. It's in there. It's verbatim.
What is his intent, though? Because I just explained his intent. Just like y'all can tell me what pull up is.
How can you explain the intent? How can you explain
the way that I did?
Well, and that's how I read it the way I did, and so did a bunch of other creatives. So how are you right and I'm wrong?
I didn't say that anyone was right or that
no one is saying
wrong.
People that he's obligated to support people. We're just saying there's nothing wrong with people making an observation. And if he acts defensive and all that, that's fine, but
Okay.
To me, it's not good for the indie community to put small creators on blast just because they have a calm observation.
He didn't say, "Hey, dude, you didn't fulfill this book. I'm watching you. People, I'm letting y'all know." He just said this happens, and a lot of people made me more aware of it when they started supporting me by saying this is crazy that this has happened because other projects that I've supported, I still have not gotten. They got my money, but I don't have a project, or I don't have the product that I was sought out to support, that I thought I was getting when I gave somebody my money. So that's all he said. He's not saying everybody is doing it. He's saying
He's
this is
doing it to
a
benefit his own business because he's doing a different model. Everybody's got these rose-colored glasses and they can't read between the lines of why certain people say certain things. Yeah, he may not say it specifically about a certain creator, right? There's been so many streams where he's called out EVS and other creators without saying their name, but it's obvious, or CG. There's so many streams where he's just going on and on about these late books and this and that. It's to make crowdfunding look less appealing. Like, hey, come over here. I do it better. I do it differently. I'm the way. And it's like, to me,
I
you're
don't think so. I
damaging
don't
the
think so.
others that have to do it a different way.
I don't think so, because he's acknowledged on streams, every path ain't for everybody. Again, you take the information and you apply it to yourself. He has not said don't support crowdfunding. He has said this is an issue that a lot of people are dealing with because they brought it to my attention. He didn't go out his way to create a false narrative, only saying that it happens with this. And if you're doing this, don't do it. It's bad business practice. It's not giving goodwill to your fans, like, on your name. So that's all he said, was just be aware of it. He's not saying they do this, don't support them.
You don't
But
have to
that's how
say it
people are taking
specifically,
it.
but it's a tactic, yeah.
Oh man, all right, BA. Mike says, what I've learned since being exposed to more conservative circles on the internet is that many white people don't understand black people. And yes, bro, we figuring this shit out, and it's like, damn, bro, we can do the mildest thing. Y'all just think we ready to shoot somebody. Look, bro, I understand dumb shit we see online. I hate niggas too, okay? Okay, but all of us ain't that. BA, I'm just playing with you, bro. You ain't got to feel uncomfortable. Anybody saying you said that. All right, I was just going to the super chats. I want to acknowledge them. Shaka Zulu that came through. Good morning. What's up? Who else? Zax. Anybody else? Y'all, I'm skipping through. All right, Mike Hasbani said something else. Eric liked the Snyder cut. Does that make you feel better? I don't think he liked the Snyder cut. Nah, Dempsey. I'm sure he'll say that's different. Zombie Man. What's up, CLS? What up, Zombie Man? All right, BA. How you feeling, bro? Because I've kind of refuted everything that you said, man. It's
by your audience,
not factual,
like normal.
Bro, you've never been dogpiled by my audience, because this shit has never happened. You've never been
They're
here
all
for my
taking it
audience.
to the extreme right now and twisting things out of word. And I'm sure your one mod's going to clip this and try to add. This will be a test. Does anyone clip this? Tag Eric and try to start a dog pile. If they do, I'm going to be proven right. And one of your mods has been attacking me constantly on Twitter for weeks. He attacked EVS's autistic daughter. So, again, I think people need to call out bullies and people that act that way. And we'll see what happens, huh?
Yes, they shit on me all the time. Now, look, you talking about Hell the Lord, just like I talked to you, bro. I've talked to Hell the Lord, and I've said, hey, man, you fight with a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't really fight with people. I only defend people, or I defend myself. Otherwise, I don't say anything.
I've told him, but then he's his own person. He can do whatever he want to do. And
yeah, and Zombie Man, again, I'm not freaking jealous or entitled. I'm more confident in my product than I would never want Eric's IP, and I would never want to make money in sacrifice of quality IP. It's not about money for me. That's why I constantly promote folks. It ain't jealousy. Trust me. My art, I'm so in love with the art that was done on my project. So I love how people
So
always do that. Oh, because the person made more money, you're jealous or you're entitled. It's like, we're not jealous at all. We're just calling it like we see it.
BA, I've told you this, bro. That's what it seemed like when y'all sitting there telling another man what to do with his time and his energy.
We're not telling him
And
what to
but
do. We're
you,
just making an observation that
how
we
many times do
see.
you have to make an observation before
I
it's like,
don't, but that's
okay,
the
you
thing.
truly care about this? You
I have
you putting
made
energy
almost,
into this.
I've made very, very minimal posts on Twitter about this. I got pulled into this based off of one tame comment. Yes, there are people that obsess over this and constantly talk about it and all that, but most of these people, they've made one or two observations and then they get tagged and dogpiled. This is not something that people are that focused on. A lot of people are just
I,
getting pulled into it.
I'm gonna say, bro, I think that's real soft to be like they're dogpiling me. Cause when I was causing commotion on Twitter, you would have so many people quote and tweet me, and I'm just like, all right, I'll go to that quote tweet, talk my shit over here, go to this one, talk that shit here. It's not like, oh, it's so many people saying bad things about me. Why y'all doing this? It's like I don't give a fuck. Especially when you bigger, that just means more victims for me. So yeah, I do see it as just like a bunch of negative energy being put out with these situations and bringing energy to a man that is not directing a lot of that negative energy towards y'all. It's all being brought to him and
Yeah,
he is
no,
responding.
like I said, he's went after CG several times in his live streams. Again, you'd have to watch him to see it.
He said
It's
he
there.
said stuff, he's saying stuff on streams, but just like I wouldn't say here because I kind of did want to talk about this and the issues that y'all have with him. And can we all just get along? Like that type of shit. It's like if some people say stuff in the chat though, then you have to kind of address it or you just ignore it and act like it doesn't happen, which I don't believe in that, even in real life. You don't grow from just letting things slide under a rug.
Yeah,
So
and this all happened because EVS didn't want to let a threat that Eric had sent through a tweet or through a text to him slide under the
oh my
rug.
goodness. I'm glad you brought that up. So that's another thing. That's some more soft ass
hmm
shit. That wasn't a threat.
Yes,
How
it
do you think it
was.
was a threat? You have the floor, my guest. How do
He
you think that was a
said
threat?
that basically Eric said that, okay, I've been being nice. I haven't been, highlighting the voices of your detractors, right?
I haven't been
But
giving credence to
but that
narratives
might
against you.
change if you don't change your tune, essentially. That's
Mm-hmm.
saying, like, hey, I'm going to stop being your friend. I'm going to start highlighting people that speak badly of you. Like, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this.
That
That is
that is
pretty much a threat.
that is not
And
what he
he's
said.
also pushed
We're
EVS
both
in the past
paraphrasing.
to delete tweets and things like that.
We're
And
both paraphrasing here, BA. But what Eric said from that tweet that I saw was, I guess the situation, the context, correct me if I'm wrong, was this Dick Masterson veto guy, whatever. I don't know these dudes, but I hear they're detractors, big ones. And how they had some criticisms of Isom. And
which were legitimate.
apparently, okay. And apparently, I think EVS has said that Eric should listen to the criticisms. I think this was
Yep.
on Flash or whatever. I didn't watch that
Yep.
whole video because I try to stay out of this, but you can't escape it when you pay attention to these people. And I think the guy actually came on there, and Eric's, after all the talk that they did, Eric was like, that's kind of, it's weird that this is the person that y'all would tell me to take criticism from. And
Well,
it
Dick is
made him
actually a
look,
writer. Like,
and it
he
made
actually
him look
is.
at them differently from that point on. To that, but hold on. To that, I would say what the issue with that, or what Eric was responding to, or what he meant was, I think if people come in on Eric's stream on his channel, then he doesn't let bullshit happen. He doesn't let people create a narrative or speak negatively on his guest. He doesn't entertain that conversation. He doesn't want to highlight that. That's what he's been doing. But since he was brought onto his show and he was sat there, and these criticisms, which some could argue were in bad faith, some of y'all would say they were not, they were legitimate. Regardless, they were from people who hated the man guts in the past. So I'm not going to be so quick to
There's
accept some
history
shit.
to that too.
I'm not
There's
going to be quick to accept some shit that somebody got to say who been hating, especially for no damn reason. So Eric was saying, y'all sat there and had me or tried to get me to listen to this dude when I don't treat y'all like that when y'all come into my house or on my channel. So he was saying, I'm not going
wasn't
to
on
put that
EVS's
energy.
channel.
I think it was on Flashcast, was it?
Yeah, that's not EVS's
So that's what I'm
channel.
saying.
Right. So why
Okay, but
why would he
still,
go after
he was
EVS?
brought into a space. He was in the space because EVS was the one that was talking like, "Well, you should listen to Dick Mastershit," or all the type of shit,
But he
or
took
saying stuff
detailed
like that.
notes, and he actually is
Okay,
a very smart guy.
regardless, I said who the criticism was coming from. Some people argue Eric doesn't take criticism. I think he does take it. It just depends on who it's coming from. And me personally, I'm not going to accept criticism from somebody who hate my fucking guts necessarily. I might listen, but it doesn't mean I have to. I'll hear it. It doesn't mean I have to listen and use any of it.
There's
But
a lot of
anyway,
backstory to that,
all Eric said was, I'm not going to, if you come on my shit and you act like that, or if we're in the same space, I'm not going to defend you. I'm not going to go out of my way to ignore or to not highlight issues or controversy directed toward you. That's how he said. I'm not defending your ass, but he did not say I'm going out my way to cause problems for you. So again, cultural differences again, but that's how I took his message, and it was not a threat. It's just I'm no longer protecting you. I'll just stand over here, and if you get hit with them arrows or somebody come with their sword, why would I jump in a way to defend you?
because
that's
EVS
all.
gave him a majority of the vice that helped him launch everything.
You can't say that. Eric
And
also
did a cover
was in,
for him that pulled in probably over $500,000.
that he got paid for. That he got paid for. But Eric also had people talking to him like Kevin Grievous, for instance, or some of these other people that he's now employed. You don't know this man's personal life and how many other people gave him advice. I'm pretty sure you wasn't there on a three-way call with him and EVS to say exactly what EVS told him. And then, oh, Eric, you wouldn't have been able to do this step if he wouldn't have told you this and that.
EVS talked about it. And again, EVS saw it as a threat, and a lot of us did see it as that. So again,
A
it's
lot
a
of
matter
us
of
don't see it
perspective.
as a threat. Yeah, man, that's what a lot of this is. It was a little fly. It just went by. A lot of it is perspective, man, and yeah, I think there are a lot of false narratives directed towards him. Where if y'all think it's a shit book, then just say it's a shit book and then keep on pushing. Why is all of this still kept up after he's done it and is clearly still going to continue doing it? It's like now y'all just making yourselves look like haters, that you're jealous, that he's getting something that you think he shouldn't because he's only been at it at a shorter
None
amount
of
of
us
time.
have said that though. We know why he's
Yeah, a lot
had
of people have
success.
said that.
He
Yeah,
earned
yeah,
it.
yeah.
He earned it from his previous endeavors, and rightfully so. That's fine. I mean, again, I have no issue with what he created or how he's done it. My issue is only with, again, the responses to, again, I'm not talking about the haters. I'm talking about the people with very basic observations like mine saying, like, hey, his comic success was a result of his music and political commentary success. Why would that need to be quote tweeted and dogpiled? I don't know. And then Aaron simply defended me and said, hey, where did he say you were undeserving? Because I literally didn't say it. And then it started this back and forth, and then he did that backhanded donation thing. But why did it get to that point? Why can't people just make a tame observation? Again, this is what happens when people are celebrities, or in this case, I guess a YouTube celebrity. Like, this stuff is bound to happen.
When you say
Like,
people make tame observations, again,
Yeah.
I've said, why don't y'all make your tame observation, talk your shit on Twitter for that day, I guess, and then keep on moving. It's
And
like all of this energy.
most want to. The problem is it gets blown out of proportion by Eric's fans, who then tag him, and then it initiates a dog pile and it starts a wildfire. That's what happened to Aaron.
I think
Aaron never even commented on it in the past.
Eric's fans defend him for something, for some energy or some comment that somebody has made to
Because they
him.
want his attention, yes, because that's what people do when they crave attention
That's what
from
that's what people
celebrities.
do. That's what
But
people
Eric,
do
but
everywhere
Eric leans
in all
into it
spaces.
though. That's the
I don't
problem.
think that's leaning in. Yeah, I disagree. I don't think that's leaning into it. Again, Twitter is for interaction, for engagement. And I've said all of y'all do this quote tweeting stuff where it's like highlighting people's comments. I think it's weird no matter what size you are when you do it. So he's just a bigger person that's doing it. BA, we are not dogpiling you, dude. As my boy Zach said. You should see what we do with AJ. It may feel like a dog pile, but I don't think that's what's happening. Nobody has anything against you. We don't
No,
have
it's
anything
just,
against you.
obviously
And
your
like I said,
audience
bro,
is
y'all,
majority pro Eric and all that, and that's fine. So when you enter the
it's
wolves
not
den, you
like I said.
expect
When I try
this.
to talk about Eric, they give me shit for it. IJP just said Eric soft. I mean, a lot of these dudes, they like
Disagree.
what Ripper does, but they're not like actual supporters really of his. But just appreciate that he's one of the few people who are actually making a difference or providing solutions
Well,
as
but
opposed to just constantly bitching about something.
that's not true though. That's the problem, right? With all these outsiders coming in, they're saying Eric is doing something new, he's doing something great. Dude, people have been doing this for 7 years. They've laid the groundwork. Not only do they have phenomenal top-notch products, they've been promoting people, they've been giving advice. The guy that got
So,
dogpiled
look,
yesterday
look.
gives free drawing courses. He gives advice constantly. So this is not something new. The problem is everyone believes that he is the only one doing it because he has the spotlight and he has the following. The problem is,
No,
to me,
nobody
he's
said he's
not.
the only one doing it. We just
You
said
just said
he's
he's
one of
one of
the
the
people.
few. But
Yes.
there's hundreds of us that have been doing it for years.
I'm also not just talking about comics. I was led to Ripper with the politics and the
Yeah,
libertarianism.
but
I'm talking about all of that stuff.
that's completely separate from the indie comic community, though. That's what I'm saying.
But okay, I get what you're saying. That's separate. But I'm saying, me personally, I can only speak from my experience. This was a person that we shared a lot of the same values. He also had talked about wanting to be a creator before he made the comic book. And I was like, oh, snap, that's what's up. I hope he does it. I have dreams of making a comic book too. And then he put out a comic book. So I was like, oh, that dream can become an actual fucking reality. And you can make a whole lot of money on it. So I'm saying there's a lot of people like me who are like, oh, okay, he is doing something of what I aspire to do, and he's had success. I can learn something from paying attention to this person.
But again, hundreds of people have been doing that already. The difference is the way he's doing it, 99.9% of people cannot do it that way, right? They do not have the disposable income. They do not have the money to hire people to do a majority of the processes, right? To own a warehouse, all this stuff. Like, yes, some of the stuff obviously can be good advice, but there's been people doing that same advice and providing it for years. It just appears that it's more important or more valid because Eric has made a bunch of money. But so has EVS, so have all these other people for years. They've raised millions of dollars. CG raised $3.5 million this year.
If you truly care about the movement or the message, why does it matter who it's coming from? As long as it does something positive for the community, which you said it doesn't.
But
he put out a bad narrative that he said only
some of it is positive.
Some people.
Some is positive, but some is negative. The narrative towards crowdfunding to me is negative. The advice of saying do not ask for promotion to me is very negative. It's, again, some positive, some negative. But a lot of people can't realize that some of it is actually negative. Because again, he's coming into a community with 10 legs up, right? He's not starting from the ground up. He can't relate
He
to
never
most
said
of us
he wanted
indies.
to be a part of your community.
So then why are
Iron
people
Age.
saying
He says
that?
he's a part of the Iron Age, not
So why are
Comicsgate. Comicsgate
so why are
is
people
the group. Iron
so
Age
why
is the time period.
so why are people saying that the indie community needs to take his advice and it's good advice?
Some people in the indie community should take its advice and put out products that they've gotten money from people for.
That's
I
what
don't
we're
see how you
doing.
can find anything wrong with that.
But that's what we've been doing for years. That's what everyone's been doing.
And then when you and who was it? Aaron posted y'all a link, y'all said, "Oh, that criticism ripper don't apply to me." Okay, cool. Not talking to you. So why do you have to continue to behave as if you are the person that he's talking to? If it doesn't apply to you, then don't respond like it does.
It applies to the entire community, and it's a very broad stroke. If
But it
90%,
don't. I think
but if
what Ripper real
90%
quick,
of
real
the
quick.
campaigns are
If
on
Ripper
time, they should not, the
if
entire
Ripper says
community
that
should not be insulted based off of bad performance of 10%.
he did not insult the entire community, he said people who have this bad practice. What is the issue with people being more aware of where their money is going and what is the success rate or the
Because
fulfillment
it's
rate
putting
of the
fear
person
in,
that I'm
it's putting
potentially
fear.
I
Because he's not
think people
putting
should be
numbers.
more conscious of the content that they are consuming.
So
Otherwise, we get the sheep that support the mainstream because I'm just going to support it because it is what it is.
the way it's being
Actually, vet
framed,
the company and the creator and see if you want to support them.
the way it's being framed is that crowdfunding in general is like filled with late books and all these problems. Instead of saying, hey, a very few, like you got to be careful with a very few and vet the creators, or hey, let's actually use numbers and it's like, oh, 90% are on time. Just be aware that just like any other product, regardless of where you get it from, there may be 10% of it that isn't good, or you might not get your money back, etc. That happens. I mean, but the problem is the way it's being spoke, it's making it's putting fear into new customers and potential new customers that, hey, there's a very good chance, you shouldn't back crowdfunding books because they're going to be really late or you may not get your product. So, hey, you need to do it the direct way, which is my way, which
And he never
99.9% of
said that,
indies
bro.
can't do.
But he never said that.
You got to read
He just
between the
saying
lines and how it's being spun.
pay attention to the people that you support. I think that advice goes for anybody. That's definitely what I tell people about watching mainstream shit right now. Just pay attention to what they're doing, and then you can decide whether or not you want to invest your money in it. That's all he's saying. I don't see why that has to be made into some fucking villain motto or something that's turning everybody off to paying attention to y'all books. Because again, what Eric is doing, and I have my criticisms of the book. So people can read that and be like, all right, it's not for me. But just like Static said, and just like I said, and many others, I paid attention to so many other independent comics that came out around the same time since he brought so much attention to it and to this Iron Age. But also, again, people, if you like this type of content or whatever, then go check out something else. So that's why I said when John A. Douglas highlighting all these other people. So it's like, oh, okay, then he's put me on notice to so many other people since I'm aware of this movement now. And I think, yeah, that should be appreciated when a big guy can bring so much attention to your movement or the thing that you're attaching yourself to and try to capitalize off of that, which you do. I've seen you in Eric threads. You'll say a comment and then post a link to your book and be like, hey, my shit's out. That don't apply to me. So like you will say it, but I think just because of not conducting yourself like that afterwards, like you truly believe that criticism don't apply to you because you fulfilled your book.
Well, I defend the entire community because I know several other creators that don't have that luxury of paying for everything up front and finishing it in advance. Like I'm a very fortunate few that I guess was able to take that risk. But 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to take that risk. 10 years ago, hell no. I would have maybe been able to get like 2 pieces of art and then started the campaign. So again, it's just that a lot of people just don't understand like how difficult being an indie creator is and how difficult crowdfunding really is. It's easy to generalize and say, yeah, you should. do the product in advance. You should do this, you should do that. Everyone would love to. If everyone had hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, you bet you everybody would have products out and they'd have tons of products out. But it's just not reality. So it's just not good to generalize an entire group or an entire method like crowdfunding just because there's a few that have either taken advantage of it or are just quote unquote late. But that lateness is very subjective because, again, they don't understand the process. They don't understand what can happen during that process, and life happens. Movies get delayed all the time, just like Jay has alluded to. Album
Yeah,
releases have been, late. Do you think people stop watching or say, I'm never going to listen to that band again? I got to wait a month. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm not going to go to that movie now because it got pushed back a couple months. It's one thing if you've invested $1,000 or $10,000 into a product, right? You're like some angel investor. Dude, this ain't the case. We're talking like $25, $50 max, and you can ask for a refund at any point. So if it's late and you're not happy about it, contact the creator, ask for a refund. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, man. A lot of people, I think, they're on the same page. They hate to see all of this like back and forth. We think it's childish and it's fucking with the whole industry. I think
And
honestly,
I
the
agree.
response. I think the response to Eric making his book and what he does or don't do with his money and time has done more negative. Um,
And that's the thing. I don't
maybe there's
disagree.
balance. Maybe there's balance and the positivity of him highlighting other creators. Because, like you said, there's so many other people that's been making stuff. So maybe a lot of people that you don't know about been making shit, and then now they've gotten some success from Eric bringing notice to independent
I mean,
comics.
the thing is,
Hopefully
the
there's balance.
after the first ISOM release, right, there was no drama, there was no issues. A lot of it stemmed again just from, some of the big creators promoting him and then not receiving it in turn. And I could understand why they might feel burned by that, I mean, that's human nature. It's no different. If you have a neighbor and they're like, "Hey, can you help me build my fence?" and you help build their fence, and then 2 weeks later you build a fence, you're like, "Hey, can you help me build my fence?" and they're like, "No, why would I do that?" I'm pretty sure you're not going to be a big fan of your neighbor after that. That's just human nature. And that's what happened at the top level between, let's say, big indie creators and then Eric. And then it's just bled down and it's created all this discourse. And then, yeah, that created the discourse about, again, supporting the indie, community promotion. And I actually had a back and forth with Eric. I don't get hyperbolic. I keep it professional on Twitter as much as I can. And I tried to explain to him, he is seeing attrition over time with his campaigns, right? They are funding less and less. Long term, I do see some risk there. He needs to hold on to every backer possible and every promoter possible. And I think he's at such a level that he's kind of forgetting that kind of rule and that, hey, I should want everybody to like me. And just giving back a little can get you some as well. So meaning like, hey, this guy promoted me. Maybe I'll just spend 10 minutes, I'll make a tweet. Or you just click the retweet button, right? We're talking minimal time. It's an optics thing. If all these, let's say, traditional or, all these indie creators that have been in the space for years, they just see the effort. It's all about optics. Hey, he's promoting other guys. I'm going to promote him. I'm going to buy his product. There's a snowball effect from that. He could have a reverse snowball effect with minimal effort by just making a tweet, doing some retweets, maybe 1 hour a week of streaming, promoting folks, you name it. The problem is he's already lost a good chunk of that indie community just because of, I don't know if it's pride or what it is, but the optics don't look good. And optics are huge when it comes to marketing and when it comes to business, right? Why is Disney losing money? Optics. Because of decisions they've made and because of
Because of the
narratives,
actual
political
product.
stuff.
Because of the
That
product.
and that
Not
too,
because of
right? Well, it's that too, but that's been part of the whole critique with Eric as well, right? And I haven't played a part in that really. But the thing is, the
of what product?
quality, yeah, the quality, the product, a lot of that would be overlooked if the optics of, hey, he's helping other people, and again, that person then is going to help you. Doesn't matter how small an audience is, every backer counts for indies. And I think if Eric had that mindset of like, hey, retention and also growing, no matter how small someone's audience is, or, if you just gain 2 backers from doing a tweet, like long term, that is needed if you don't want to see like numbers diminishing over time. And I think that's what's happening is it's an optics thing, and optics can be misconstrued. Optics they can go in every direction, and I think it's causing a lot of problems. And some of the CG creators face that too with, again, some of them talk about politics or something that can, maybe turn off certain fans, but in that CG community, there's positive optics around almost all the creators that, hey, we see these guys promoting folks, retweeting, I'm going to retweet their stuff, and then, hey, that person retweets my stuff. Everybody wins, everybody grows, because let's be honest, even if Eric releases 12 products a year, that's not enough for folks. You read a comic in a day, in an hour, right? Why not also share other people's work to fill their day, to fill the rest of the year, right? All those other days in the year. And then when you do that, they're going to share and
I
promote your stuff.
I think they can
It's
fill that time with other shit besides just reading a comic book.
yeah,
They can go do something productive.
sure, but again, there's a reason why there are people that have backed hundreds, if not 500 indie campaigns because they want the content, right? We all want better movies. I'd love every week to go to an awesome movie. I would love that. That's how it was in like 2016. There was a great superhero film or action film every freaking week. Now, maybe 2 a year. People want more content, but you can't just have it be your own. No one can provide enough content. And that's why
All
I have
right.
the mindset of, hey, promote other people, help other people as well. Rising tides, all that good stuff.
Yeah, but that's happened, and I don't know. I don't think that's been acknowledged. But that kind of what Mr. Grant Gregory said here. You said defend the entire community, then why not Eric?
He says he's not
We've
part of the community and that there's not a community. And I have defended him in the past. I did
why does
promote him.
again if you compare about the movement and the medium, why does a person have to be a part of your group to
I'm not
support them?
saying CG. Indie as a whole, to me, is a community. It's the opposite of the mainstream.
And a lot of people
right?
say it's not.
Then I don't think they really
Again, it's
care
not a
that much
community.
about it.
It's a movement. It is a time period of
Not
which people are
indie.
creating
Not
more for
indie.
themselves.
No, indie to me is a community. I'm not talking about Iron Age. Indie, being an indie, right? It's a group outside of the mainstream. I mean, by definition, that's how it's been.
Indie is a shorter version of saying independent.
Sure, yeah.
Which is detached from the mainstream, which he is.
Mm-hmm. But again, I have the mindset of to me, it's a community. If I see, just like a real community or a town, if I see someone that doesn't want to help or support others, I'm not going to provide them help or support.
Okay. That was just a question.
But I'm also not going to attack them and shit like that either. I don't believe in that. But someone comes after me, of course I'm going to defend myself. Or if I see someone being attacked, it's just in my nature to defend them as well if I think it's unjust.
Does EVS have the ability to pay for things up front? What is his excuse? Not to mention, I finally started getting updates from him this week. You don't have to comment on it if you don't know.
I don't know if he does. I would say probably not, because here's the thing. When you look at someone's campaign and let's say they've raised $100,000, I hope people realize $100,000 isn't going into your pocket. 20% of that is probably the shipping costs, because that unfortunately is included in the funding, right? People do not make profit on the shipping very rarely. Then you have the cost to print all the books, the cost of the art. So maybe some people walk away with 20-30% profit, right? So a $100,000 campaign will not allow you to live for a year, right? And even if it's in $1 million campaign, a lot of times, like someone like EVS, he's putting that into more product. I don't think his margins are very big at all because he's giving people extra books, he's giving them toys. Like he's extremely passionate about his IP. I mean, the quality, it's insane, things like that. He also has a family, he has kids, right? He has a mortgage. He is not getting a paycheck from big companies. I mean, he might get some royalties here and there, from DC and whatnot, but he doesn't have, that is his 9 to 5. So he is living off of that funding to allow him to create a product versus DC paying him, right, a page rate like in the past. So basically, the backers are replacing DC and Marvel so that they can, in the end, have an amazing product. So I don't really think it would be smart for him to do that. So it makes sense that he would continue to crowdfund, and he's just continually, producing product and releasing it. So.
All right, BA, I don't want to hold you here longer, man, talking about this stuff. Because it don't apply to you, because you already got your book out. You're not one of the people sitting on folks' money.
Applies to my friends, though, my group, my community.
All right.
I mean, it'd be right. You have a kind of your own little clique, right, of YouTubers, right? I'm sure, and I've seen it. They defend each other. They promote each other.
We don't
You don't have
claim that.
you don't have each other's backs, though. You wouldn't help one that helps you.
We have each other's backs, but we criticize people when they need it, and we say that was some weird shit.
Yeah, and so do we. So yeah, it's the same thing. We just call it
all right, look,
a group or a community.
Some of my people got books out there. Look, you got to wait until I can get in. I can't support everybody at one time. Look at all this independent shit I get. I ain't got it like that. So I give you my time and my energy, and we can support. And when I get to it, I'll get to it. Your book, your stuff. But I expect people to treat me the same way. Don't go out your way to support me because you like me. Buy extra shit because you like me. But buy the book itself because it's good. And you want to see more of it. Yeah. Oh, Shadow Person came through. Someone who's your friend only because of what you can do for them is your friend. Yeah, I agree. That community thing, I disagree with that 100%. And then again, that's why, like a lot of these people that I hang out with on streams or whatnot, we don't call ourselves a community. We don't try to use those words. It's just good people. We just talk to good people, promote good people.
Right. Promote good people. That's what our group is all about, And I think that's how it should be. You see someone with a good product that seems like a good person, promote them. But when we see that that's not happening and someone's only promoting themselves, it's kind of like, well, I'm not really feeling like promoting them or helping them out. That's why I promote your stuff. I promote, there's people in the chat. I promote their stuff because they seem like good people and I see them doing it for others. That's how, I don't know why people have such an issue with the word community, but that's how a community works. So I like that mindset, even if I take shit for it.
I'm gonna try to like Jack Drew. Look, me and Flaccid gonna draw some of y'all some different ways and have some fun. BA, you got anything you want to say? Do you want to talk about your book? We almost hit 3 hours. I know you talked about the process and all that. You do?
Yeah, I mean
the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's still on Indiegogo. Obviously you got your book. Right now everything's shipping within 2 days. I'm fully stocked up. It's 2 urban fantasy novels about a gargoyle and a team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. There's also a mini comic that provides scenes from the book. It introduces all the characters.
Good stuff.
Yep, major or supportive. So it's a more immersive reading experience. And it's between Indiegogo and Fund My Comic, we're at around 8.5K. And if I wouldn't have asked for promotion or help, I wouldn't have gotten probably but 10% of that. And yeah,
don't rely on the people.
If you want to support indies, good products, then go pick up a copy. If you just want to support the big guys, that's not me. And yeah, that's about it. We'll see what the backlash of this is. We'll see.
Stop it,
We'll see
bro. Why you putting that
we'll see if I get
negativity out
proven right
there?
even more.
Nah, somebody said they're gonna do it just because you told them not to.
Oh, I'm sure I have. Oh, I know my one hater in the audience. I'm sure he's gonna say some stuff behind a block. He's been doing it for weeks, but give him a wrench.
You gonna hold it against me? You
I don't know.
gonna
He's
hold
got
it
a
against me?
wrench. He's might think a little bit less,
What
just
do
a
you mean?
little bit.
He hasn't shut you up in the comments if you typed anything.
I haven't typed anything in the comments.
Like
I ain't keeping up with that.
it's like from Black Panther, y'all's favorite movie. We don't do that here. I was lame, but oh well. Yeah, bro. A lot of people don't like. So like when you're like, if you only support the big guys, then it's like a lot of that's just extra, bro, and that turns people off. Let's just talk about the amazing book that you have, Positivity. You're gonna get the money because you deserve it, because the product warrants the type of support from the people.
It might deserve it, and it
I like it,
definitely
y'all.
should be funded higher. But again, like if it wasn't for folks like EVS, Bancroft, Jay in the chat, Aaron, like again, a lot of people wouldn't have books in their hands right now. So, and I want to do the same for others. I think that's how it should be. So, promote
Look,
good
y'all, it's
shit,
a
just like movies, you know. Stop complaining about all the bad stuff and promote the good stuff. But too many people want to contribute to complain culture, and that's not my thing. So
you get your money's worth from supporting BA. If you can see on the thumb, then the two books, the gargoyle, that's him. Zax was asking who's Aaron C. He made the book on the left with the two people and like the armor, the two elves, Immortal Rising, which is a very good book. I told him there's so many like high fantasy stories out there. I'm actually sick of all of them. But this one, Immortal Rising, had like some very intriguing art that pulled me into the story and made me want to be invested in that fantasy world amongst the hundreds of thousands
you can
out
also
there. So
tell Mike has bad knees, that he's a bit of a vagina for calling me a victim and a weak man. So if you wanna,
hey man, you free to
take
say
shots,
that. I said
take them
some
back.
shit you said was soft, so it is what it is. But since you brought it up, he said you acting like a vagina. This one, BA likes to play the victim and is weak, man. That one.
I don't see how I'm playing the victim in anything. I'm talking about standing up for other people. I'm talking about staying up for community.
Like I said, when you was
I don't see
promoting the
how
book,
that makes me weak or anything like that.
okay, because you were promoting your book, and then in that promotion of your book, you had to downplay others and say, if you only support big people, I'm not a big person, so you ain't got to support me if that ain't what you into. That's the shit that people.
That's not playing a victim. That's
That's
literally
throwing
just
some
saying,
extra
hey,
negative shit.
some people only promote the big guys. I mean, that's literally how it is. And all I was saying is, I'm not a big guy. I'm a small creator. All of us in here are small creators. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in here probably.
Bro,
Saying
I'm the
support
Incredible
small
Hulk. I'm
creators.
just Bruce Banner right now. I'm a big guy. I just ain't hulked out yet. See, that's what Mr. Grant Gray just said. When AJ was promoting your book, you took the back foot, man. Come on. So I said the extra comments that you made is like it turns some people off. And I think, and
you know what?
I'm
if
not
you
a
don't
prophet
like
or
me
anything,
because
I can't tell the
I'm
future.
about supporting the community
BA,
and smaller creators, so be it.
But I've told you, BA, that's going to turn a lot of people off to your work once they see that type of energy or response.
By saying, hey, I like to support small creators and you should ask for help. Yes. If that turns you off, then I don't really give a shit. I'm not in this for the money, unlike some people. I mean, come on. I'm in this because I care about my product and I like doing the right thing. I mean, I'm not here to kiss everyone's ass. I don't do that. I have a life.
All right, BA. How we gonna leave out of here, bro? You gonna leave on a good note. I'm trying to help you out. I just said your book was good. It was worth the money,
No,
all the extra shit that you doing that a lot of creators ain't.
no, I
Give some
appreciate
good
that.
faith to the people, bro. How you gonna get out of here?
I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of good faith in the chat, so
Oh
some
man,
some some
y'all,
have
this
had
is not
some
what I
good
came to
faith.
do. I told BA this was not. It was you and Aaron, and I said we're gonna have a conversation mainly on independence, but I did want to segue into the conversation about Eric if they were comfortable talking about it. I didn't throw it on them at the last minute. I just said I want to talk about it because they have some issues with Ripper. They have some thoughts on him. And instead of just saying the reactions on Twitter, which things can be taken out of context with limited characters to type, let's hear it from their mouths on what they have to say or what their issue is. And maybe I'm one of those, like, I don't want to say kumbaya and we all gonna love each other and all that. It ain't gonna be that. But I'm like, maybe if we have a conversation, we can squash some fake beef and move forward for the sake of everybody. So that's why I wanted to hear this side. Maybe I'll get Eric on. That's what I need to do. Eric coming on the stream. And we're gonna talk about some independence and some people that we've supported. To quell
It'll be a
y'all
short
confused
stream.
minds on whether or not he support independent creators. Oh shit. All right, BA, we about to leave. I appreciate you coming on, bro. And I did learn something. You didn't give me the specifics. You didn't want to give me the sauce. Maybe because I'm not in Comicsgate or your community. But I want to know how much did it take to get these books made? You go to a printer, okay. Then what? I'm just playing, dude. You talked about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
just talking
thousands
shit.
of dollars and hundreds, if not thousands, of hours. So it's people that have went through it. They know the real grind of it. So
Okay. And it's cool to see y'all doing it and hear y'all stories because, you know, I'm more aware of the challenges that I will face in pursuing comic
there's
book.
gonna be a shit ton of them. But
But it
but
is
again,
important.
but that's why you have to reach out to people and ask for help, right? Get their feedback, and not just feedback from people that are in a different or a certain position, had certain advantages. Like you gotta hear it from every level and learn from it. If you only learn or take advice from someone that has one perspective, you're going to have a lot of struggles and you're probably going to be really disappointed in how your campaign goes. Like you have to listen to people that have experienced it on every level, especially the ground level, because that's where you're starting. And that's, again, that's my biggest point behind all this is people need to hear other perspectives. Just because one person says it does not make it Bible, does not make it true, just because they make a lot of money or their voice is the loudest.
I mean, it's the same thing Eric said. Y'all got a lot in common.
Maybe in some ways, but it depends on the intentions and, if what they're saying is true or not. So
that reminds me, my nerds out there, that reminds me of that scene from Pokemon. Oh my goodness, BA, you just took me there with the first movie when Meowth and his clone was talking, and he was like, maybe if we paid attention to what's the same instead of what's different. When he was having that conversation, some people in the chat know what I'm talking about. Then they was like, dang, everybody else who's fighting a clone and whatnot, that we can sit here and appreciate what we have in common and let there be enough to help us to move forward for the better. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that nugget of truth, BA.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play this. No, I didn't. Anyway, but I'm looking for a clip, bro. You good? I'm sure you had a fun time. We got to talk about some independent comics.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what the backlash is. So,
bro, it ain't gonna be no backlash. You make people want to do it when you say that.
We'll see. I expect some tweets behind a block. So we'll see.
I tell everybody, I'm the shit. You can't take me down. You can't touch me. Y'all retarded for liking the Mario movie. I'm looking for something. How you want to go out, BA? Was you digging the Toonami earlier?
Oh, I'm good with whatever.
Canola, you'll touch me. Stop it. All right. If you're gonna touch somebody, do it like
Man,
this.
Mike has bad knees. I
was
think he
about to
has
play my
bad
comment.
balls too.
I was
He
about to
just
play.
loves
I was
taking
about to play my
shots.
clip.
I ain't doing no woe
Mike,
is
what you want to
me
do?
at all.
Leave Mario Brothers alone. Mario's King. What are you talking about? The clip? All right.
No,
So
just
yeah,
more
since we talking
comments,
about
taking shots.
since we talking about touching people, taking shots, pulling up, which I've educated white people on what that actually means.
It
Here's an
depends.
example of what.
It depends on how it's being
Stop it.
said. And
A lot
come
of
on.
y'all ain't worth a pull up, bro.
Hey, and I don't appreciate it when people get called white bread N-words either. So it's racially insensitive because yes,
I don't.
people can be racist against white people and any people of any culture or ethnicity. So
BA, in
yeah,
all honesty, I don't appreciate when a bunch of people, and they're mainly white people, tell a black man what to do with his time, his energy, and his money.
it
Ain't got
doesn't matter
something to
what his
say.
color is
Ain't got
because
something to say when he doesn't do what you want him to do.
no one's
He don't
telling him
perform
what
or
to
dance
do.
around how you want him to.
No one's telling him what to do. They're just saying what they would like
You giving
to
him
see
shit
from
for
him.
not doing the thing you want him to do.
People do the same thing to FNT. People
Yeah,
constantly
yeah.
say the same thing about FNT. They're not black, are they?
Nope.
There's no difference. It's the same
Hey,
criticism. It's the same observations. All they do is
I feel you.
complain. They
I
don't
feel
promote
you.
indies. Come
I
on.
feel you. That difference goes to a lot of
One's just more famous at the
groups, a
moment.
lot of people, but we can't hide racist comments and all that type of shit. And you could say, "Oh, it's just the little trolls on Twitter. It's just some of them people. People get wild. Some terrible shit has been said because the dude made a comic book, not the way that they want him to. That's all I'm saying, though. But apparently, from political speak, those are the liberals. I think you're more conservative or something. I don't know. I don't want to put something on you that you're
No,
not.
I'm
But I'm
independent.
just saying that added layer is there, and we're not gonna hide behind it. BA, we pulling up.
Can you tell me what happened?
He was running with my purse, and they came around and grabbed him. Look at them. They're like a bunch of butterflies.
Do they know what they're doing?
We don't just give someone a hair bone and stick them on the street. There's almost 2 weeks of training.
Use what your opponent has. If he's got a tail, use a tail. Tie him up with it. Boom, 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 boom.
They were so adorable with these big bows. They could have been dancers.
Now, when you fly, you gotta really get a good running start. Go!
Yeah!
Was your inspiration for your girls the Powerpuff Girls cartoon?
No.
Powerpuff Girls, part of Cartoon Fridays. Friday nights on Cartoon Network. You with us?
Sometimes you suffer great misfortune for believing in something too much. There are times that it's tough to believe in anything at all.
Kingdoms rise and fall. Lifetimes come and go. Are any of us here long enough to even make a difference?
We're in over our heads, okay?
What should I be doing?
That's something you have to decide.
I can't do this alone.
Basic maneuver.
There's no time!
Okay, hang on. Now don't die. Don't die!
And what about you? Are you ready to die yet?
I don't know what I should do.
Keep moving, whatever it takes. Even if the way ahead lies through a river of blood.
Take your best shot. I'll give it back to you 1,000-fold.
Now you're finally making sense. While we're here, we live to the fullest.